Amid the raging seas, when the roaring waves seemed ready to swallow the sky, a legend was reborn. Not in the pages of history, but in a new soul, someone who suddenly transmigrated into the body of Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. From the moment he opened his eyes, the ocean stirred and the heavens trembled. A single punch from him could split the seas in half, and one step was enough to make the entire new world tremble before the power of a Yonko. But that power was not meant for domination. It existed to protect his family, to protect those who called him father. And this is the journey that rewrites the entire legend of Whitebeard. A man standing in the vastness of the great sea declared, "If you wish to lay a hand on my family, defeat me first." The world is shaken. Countless people were trembling. That's terrifying. That's terrible. The fighting continued in the same spot for another 5 days. This battle was incredibly fierce, lasting approximately half a month. 15 days and 15 nights. That's terrifying. Boom, boom, boom. On this day, after enduring for approximately half a month, the Red Line could no longer bear the burden and collapsed directly from the entrance to the New World. The entire Red Line block within that location has collapsed and fractured. The world was completely shaken. The world's peak, the Red Line, has been severed, its layers cut off, and it has been sunk. Countless rocks and debris were scattered and fell into the sea, entire chunks of the Red Line sinking downwards. Complete collapse, utter ruin. Rocks and debris rained down from the sky into the sea. Countless waves surged, creating a thunderous, earth-shattering spectacle. Everyone, get on board. Whitebeard's voice shook the heavens and the earth. At the moment the Red Line collapsed, Whitebeard's 15th pirate crew seized the opportunity to escape their enemies and charged forward in a colossal display of power. A harmonious display. The Revolutionary Army was similarly prepared, having gathered all kinds of boats and ships. More than half of the giants, some like Deadpool, died and all fell into the sea. Whitebeard also leapt forward, his body soaring into the air, his figure moving with the harmonious force of 1,000 statues. The terrible fighting, amidst the riots, came to a brief lull. Boom, boom, boom. Countless red rocks and soil fell into the sea. The Red Line cracked open from within, and both sides continuously collapsed and spread. The sacred land of Mariajwa, a ruin, collapsed completely into the sea. The Red Line, completely inside the location, is broken. This was a world-shattering event, a truly devastating blow that sank the Red Line. Boom, boom, boom. An incredibly vast and harmonious spectacle soared into the sky, with all the members of the Whitebeard pirates landing upon it. In this battle, the Whitebeard pirates suffered considerable losses, but fortunately none were killed, most were severely wounded. The fighting lasted approximately half a month. This is something that, considering the entire world and all the pirates in history, is absolutely one of a kind. Great battle. A terrible battle. One of a kind. The Red Line has collapsed. That's terrifying. Even the Whitebeard pirates, who were incredibly powerful pirates, couldn't help but be impressed. The scene before them was incredibly magnificent and extremely perilous, leaving one deeply moved. The Red Line has collapsed. It's incredibly shocking. Countless crimson rocks and soil, still in the same swirling mass, continuously fell from both sides of the cliff, stirring up towering waves. The image is shocking and awe-inspiring. Human beings are also subject to shock and turmoil. That's terrifying. Looking into the distance, the Red Line, broken and sunk, was severed, causing endless shock among the people. It took me a long time to calm down. Whitebeard, the fight isn't over yet. At this moment, the 5 members of the 5 Elder Stars, having launched a massive spaceship, emerged from the swirling dust and rocks filling the sky. The great battle has no end. Boom, boom, boom. Waves of terrifying energy surged outwards from the direction of the 5 Elder Stars. Over there on the spaceship, have a sunflower, blooming in a vibrant yellow light, like the dazzling, radiant glow of a sunflower. The yellow light radiating incredibly terrifying energy fluctuations, spread throughout the world, sweeping across heaven and earth. It seemed as if, in this entire universe, only this one type of energy remained. Heaven and earth were both transformed into a golden color. The sky, ground, the island, the ocean is vast. Everything was filled with a terrifying yellow light. There, a single, enormous sunflower bloomed, radiating divine light, enveloping the heavens and earth, covering the four seas, and encompassing the vast ocean. This is divine power, the power of the sun god. The world is shaken. Countless people trembled, shaking uncontrollably, and couldn't help but kneel on the ground, facing the direction of the 5 elder stars, bowing, prostrating, and praying, not daring to harbor even a hint of rebellion. King Uranus. Whitebeard was equally shocked. He had never imagined that Uranus, one of the 3 ancient weapons, would be a sunflower swaying in the heavens, blooming with golden divine light. Just this one sunflower pig, emitting such terrifying energy fluctuations, capable of leveling all other energy fluctuations, is enough to represent everything. It is possible to create the world. It could also destroy the world's most powerful ancient weapon, King Uranus. In legend, the sun god. Whitebeard was inwardly shaken. After reading the original text, he understood what the 4 words Uranus represented, king of the gods. Father, what terrifying energy fluctuations! The power of destruction and creation. Father, what should we do? When the heavenly King Uranus appeared, the entire Whitebeard pirates were shaken. The energy fluctuations were something no ordinary person could withstand, as expected of the ultimate weapon of destruction in ancient times. No need to worry. Fear was one thing, but it was the first time he'd seen the true face of the heavenly King Uranus. After the initial shock, Whitebeard calmed down, his entire being radiating an overwhelming and majestic aura. 5 elders, we're no longer on the red line. Now we're advancing across the ocean. This vast ocean, let me be its ruler. The red line collapsed, splitting into 2 jagged sections, with countless rocks and debris continuing to fall into the sea, stirring up towering waves. Amidst such overwhelming momentum, the 5 elder stars, 5 in total, controlled the spaceship. On board, a single, dazzling sunflower radiated a brilliant golden light, illuminating the 4 seas and the earth. Its beauty complemented the sky, dyeing it golden and the vast ocean shimmering with a golden hue. My God, is that the heavenly King Uranus? The world was shaken. Countless people were filled with admiration. For the first time, the ancient weapon, the supreme celestial King Uranus, appeared, shaking the 4 seas. The heavenly King Uranus radiates a terrifying light. Just a glance at him makes one's body go weak. It's too terrifying. I don't dare look directly at it. Ancient weapons can destroy worlds, and Uranus, the supreme king among the 3 ancient weapons, possesses unfathomable power. The world was shaken. The celestial King Uranus appeared, illuminating the world with golden light, turning it into a shimmering expanse of gold that no one dared to look at directly. It's like a divine artifact, brilliant and dazzling. Perhaps Whitebeard, still as calm and fearless as ever, with his silvery aura, caused the heavens and earth to tremble. This vast ocean, from me, Whitebeard, to its lord. 5 elder stars, your rule should end now. Whitebeard's voice, shaking the vast ocean, spread in all directions, overpowering the continuous, deafening roar of the collapsing red line. Edward Newgate, what strength do you still have to be so arrogant and conceited now? The great demon wielding his sword slashed at the 5 elders. Both his hands were covered in fresh blood at the joints. Both hands gripping the blade had dislocated joints and torn flesh. These injuries were the result of a high-intensity battle with Whitebeard. A fierce fight that lasted 15 days and 15 nights. After half a month of fierce fighting and desperate struggle, the 5 elder stars had completely exhausted their physical strength. It's still far, far inferior to Whitebeard's godlike physique. Whitebeard's physique, imbued with boundless power, was like a perpetual motion machine, his strength would never run dry. Even the 5 Elder Stars could no longer endure that level of high-intensity combat. They had no choice but to bring the Heavenly King Uranus to the final battle. This is their last trump card. It was also their greatest reliance when dealing with Whitebeard. Using the supreme weapon Uranus requires a tremendous amount of energy that even the 5 elders tremble at, and they would never use it unless absolutely necessary. Whitebeard, your end is near. It's over. The bald-headed 5 elders, his eyes now cracked, each one splitting apart, causing the dark purple blood to solidify, incredibly ferocious and terrifying. Even at your wit's end, you still dare to act so recklessly. Whitebeard, you have every right to be arrogant. In our hands, you held out for about half a month. Looking across the world, you are the number 1 and also the last. However, you still want to die. Whitebeard, are you ready to welcome death? The 5 Elder Stars, all 5 of them, simultaneously held up a cluster of sunflowers blooming with golden light, like a trophy. Amidst the flowing golden light, streams of terrifying energy visible to the naked eye flowed from the 5 Elder Stars into the Heavenly King Uranus. Activate! A low, deep voice, like that emanating from a bottomless abyss, rang out from the 5 members of the 5 Elder Stars, their voices echoing in unison. Grandfather! Suddenly, the celestial King Uranus blossomed into terrifying, dazzling rings of golden light. Golden light flowed and rippled, as if vibrating, spreading outwards in all directions from the 5 Elder Stars as the center. Like holy light, like divine light, extremely divine. The golden light spread rapidly. Bang! Suddenly, from the sea, more and more ancient corpses emerged, guided by golden light, floating on the surface of the water in midair. The corpse of a celestial dragon. That location, it just so happens to be where the ruins of the sacred site of Muriejwa fell. Countless corpses of celestial dragons. Each of the ancient celestial dragon human corpses, facing the sea, was guided by streams of golden light resembling threads of jade, floating suspended in midair. The celestial dragon's corpse, covered in fresh blood and carrying streams of energy, was drawn along the golden light into the celestial King Uranus. The faces of the 5 Elder Stars suddenly became grotesque, and their bodies also began to swell. Fully activated. Like a voice emanating from the depths of an abyss, it once again came from the 5 members of the 5 Elder Stars. Low pitch. High is good as great. Like a dream, like an illusion. Both real and fake. Mister, the golden light of the celestial King Uranus has bloomed to its fullest potential. The vast ocean suddenly surged, its surface churning with colossal waves, roaring and crashing, incredibly powerful. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The tide reversed, and a curtain of water shot high into the air. Let's shake this old man's resolve. Whitebeard suddenly exerted force with both hands. He wanted to see the results of the investigation by the Sky King Uranus. Boom! 2 incredibly powerful shockwaves, centered around Whitebeard's hands, swept across the distant 5 elders. Extreme limits. Shattering void domain. The shockwave of power, while in the air, unleashed to void-shattering domains, their power reaching its limit, instantly forming to terrifying storms that surged towards the 5 elders. The terrifying shockwave force, capable of engulfing heaven and earth, can pierce through everything, shattering everything. The air was shattered. Even the remaining powerful shockwaves were sent beneath the surface of the sea, shattering it. The sky was filled with mist. As you followed the storm's path, you left behind 2 trails of white fog. Dad! Maybe. To everyone's astonishment, this incredibly terrifying void-shattering domain, which directly impacted the golden light of the Heavenly King Uranus, didn't even cause the slightest tremor. Like, the powerful strike is on cotton. It was born in just a fleeting moment, like 3 seconds. Uranus, the celestial king, has regained his graceful form, completely unharmed. The vibrations of the shockwave force were completely ineffective against him. It's useless. Whitebeard, any devil fruit ability will be countered by the Heavenly King Uranus. Any devil fruit ability is completely ineffective against him. The 5 elders look towards Whitebeard, each of them revealing an excited smile. Ultimately, controlling the battlefield leads to absolute power. We can control the left and right sides of the battle. This feeling, which they hadn't experienced in a long time, made the 5 Elder Stars incredibly excited. Edward Newgate, stop your pointless struggles. Your death is today. All your struggles are in vain. With both hands almost unable to hold the great demon slayer of the 5 elders, he said with a face full of excited mockery. The battle lasted approximately half a month, leaving the 5 Elder Stars utterly exhausted and nearly withered. Finally, right now, the red line has fallen and the heavenly King Uranus has appeared. The 5 Elder Stars sacrificed countless celestial dragon corpses to obtain the energy needed by the celestial King Uranus, fully activating him and using this to harness his power. Without seeing all the demons' true attack power, it's as if controlling demons follows the same rules. It's possible to completely ignore any demonic attack abilities. Golden light flowed, her figure graceful, between heaven and earth. Only the 5 Elder Stars remained, their light incredibly bright, incredibly dazzling. Let them see, as if 5 gods holding golden light in their hands, descending into life. No wonder the celestial dragons are called descendants of gods, because only celestial dragons can activate the celestial King Uranus. As for the true identities of the 5 Elder Stars, to this day, no one knows. Controlling the world at the pinnacle of power didn't last long. They tolerated the celestial dragons doing whatever they wanted. The true purpose and true intentions of the 5 Elder Stars remain completely unknown to anyone. Whitebeard just obediently wait to die. The 5 Elder Stars finally revealed arrogant smiles. Once again, they could do whatever they wanted. For approximately 15 days and 15 nights, fighting alongside Whitebeard, I never once managed to reclaim what was rightfully mine from Whitebeard. From the very beginning of the battle, we were at a disadvantage. He was utterly defeated by Whitebeard. Even though they were 5 people, with an overwhelming numerical advantage, they were still crushed by Whitebeard. Even though approximately 6 other top-tier powerhouses later joined the battlefield, and together with the 5 elders, a total of 11 people fought Whitebeard for 5 days and 5 nights. They were still outmatched by Whitebeard. The 5 elders suffered humiliation and immense pain, leaving them extremely frustrated. Finally, I've been waiting until now, the first appearance of the celestial King Uranus. This suffocating, endlessly frustrating, endlessly resentful feeling lasted for about half a month, and finally, it all exploded. You guys are being a bit too certain. Whitebeard feared nothing, even if the shockwaves and the 5 elders wielding the heavenly King Uranus were ineffective. Whitebeard still possessed powerful enough means to deal with them. Shirahoshi. Right now. Whitebeard's quote. Princess Shirahoshi calmly walked out. With a small, joyful expression, Shirahoshi, who had followed Whitebeard for so long, finally had the chance to assist him and fight alongside him. This made her feel that she was finally useful. Follow me. Princess Shirahoshi continuously uttered mysterious incantations, each incantation perfectly rhythmic, each movement like a spirit, like a divine talisman. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. According to Princess Shirahoshi, as the speed of sound increased, in the sea, in the endless ocean, in the boundless deep sea, suddenly came terrifying sounds, the enormous roar of rushing water. Thump. Bang. Follow them, all the incredibly huge sea king creatures, surging out from the depths of the ocean. 1 end. 10 heads. 100. 1,000 of them. 10,000 heads. 100,000 heads. An endless, colossal sea king surging forth from the boundless depths of the ocean. Right now. A shocking event has occurred. Right now. The golden light shattered into pieces. Right now. The 5 elder stars were terrified and turned pale. Hong. Each excited roar of the Sea King echoed across the four seas, shaking the heavens and earth, causing countless islands to tremble. Life is in turmoil. The whole world is in an uproar. Poseidon, the Sea King. One of the three great ancient weapons, Poseidon, the Sea King. Oh my God, two ancient weapons are clashing. The world was shaken. Countless people were filled with admiration, and countless others were deeply moved. Roar, roar, roar. Coming from the depths of the ocean, a deafening roar echoed incessantly. The five elder stars, what you rely on in my eyes, is nothing more than this. Whitebeard arrogantly declared, his hand gripping a sword over 10 meters long, gazing into the distance at the five elders. The originally dazzling golden light there suddenly contracted, and the sea of golden light shattered completely. Five elders, this time next year will be your death anniversary. Two ancient weapons engage in a climactic duel. Hundreds of thousands of Sea King-type creatures are deployed simultaneously. The world is in turmoil. No one ever imagined that Whitebeard had such a trump card hidden away. That incredibly magnificent image, that image that resonated with countless Sea Kings, made the world tremble. The world was slightly terrified. Poseidon, the Sea King. The five elders were shocked. They hadn't expected Whitebeard to have the support of Poseidon, the Sea King. In this vast ocean, the true Lord, who commands countless Sea Kings, the Sea King of all kinds, is none other than Poseidon. In their hands, the heavenly King Uranus, who said he could create worlds, destroy worlds, or truly annihilate all those who possessed devil fruit abilities, was perhaps not the true ruler of this vast ocean. The three great ancient weapons. Each type has its own unique characteristics. Each person has their own strengths. Poseidon's advantage lies in his invincibility on the high seas, commanding 10 million Sea Kings, especially those in the deep sea. The colossal Sea Kings are the true rulers of the vast ocean. The sea surface was surging with massive waves, and countless Sea King creatures, following Princess Shirahoshi's instructions, simultaneously swarmed towards the five elders. The five elder stars panicked. Lead us to escape. The five elder stars, all five of them, were pressed against that delicate sunflower, their golden light flowing, but only able to envelop the five of them, and able to cover the entire ocean. On the ocean, towering waves crashed against each other, surging and roaring, incredibly terrifying. Hide! The five elder stars are the best choice. Mister! Golden light flowed and bloomed, creating streams of golden mist. Ancient supreme weapon, the celestial King Uranus, along with the five elders, ascended to the heavens. They were attempting to escape. Want to run away? How could Whitebeard possibly ignore the five elders? If you pull out weeds without removing the roots, they will grow back when the spring breeze blows. The consequences would be disastrous, and Whitebeard would absolutely not allow it. Chase and kill. Whitebeard issued the order. The myriad phenomena harmonized with a resounding roar, ascending and swiftly flying towards the five elder stars in pursuit. The immensely vast, sky-obscuring, harmonious aura, combined with its astonishing speed, allows the Momo fruit's ability to activate in conjunction with the Pio Pio fruit's ability to give the harmonious aura its ultimate speed. Initially, even with Enel's full power, he couldn't catch up with Whitebeard's harmonious harmony ship. One can imagine just how incredibly fast this Whitebeard pirate ship was. Using the power of the heavenly King Uranus, the five elders were ultimately chased and forced to flee by Whitebeard. The world is shaken. People became amazed. I never imagined it would end like this, even with the emergence of the heavenly King Uranus, even with the five elders possessing immense power. In the end, they were still hunted down by Whitebeard. Terrifying. Whitebeard's abilities are terrifying. The five elders almost used overwhelming force to swiftly kill the users of the Thunderfruit ability, but in the end, they were outmaneuvered and chased away by Whitebeard. Shocking? The world was utterly shocked. The five elders, using their final trump card, were once again chased and attacked by Whitebeard. The heavenly King Uranus hasn't shown his might yet. The three greatest ancient weapons couldn't possibly possess such meager abilities. There are hostages who are suspected of speaking. Many people refuse to believe that the celestial King Uranus, though small, possessed such immense power. Having already acquired the true power of a devil fruit, isn't that enough strength? In the presence of a devil fruit user, that's like being invincible. Fresh Flower Bridge. Some also objected, arguing that if one could truly suppress the power of a devil fruit user, wouldn't that be powerful enough? Apparent. In the eyes of the world, he could almost suppress most of the pirates in this world. No, how could something that could be called an ancient weapon, a being hailed as a supreme ruler, be so simple? Didn't you see how many noble bloodlines the supreme ruler Uranus has absorbed? Perhaps supreme ruler Uranus hasn't truly awakened yet. As someone said before, wake up! Everyone's heart suddenly trembled. Upon awakening, the devil fruit user's abilities can be comparable to those of a Logia-type devil fruit user after awakening. The meaning of the word awakening is something countless people understand perfectly well in their hearts. If this could truly destroy the demon-possessed power of the heavenly King Uranus, even before his awakening, then what would he be like after he awakens? The 5 elder stars want to re-enter the red line. At this very moment, the dazzling golden-wielding heavenly King Uranus ascended to the 5 elder stars, heading towards the red line's edge, flying at incredible speed. Their goal was to get onto the red line. What is it about the other side that makes them so insistent? The squad leader was astonished. They hadn't expected that, even at this point, the 5 elders would still choose to fly onto the red line. 5 elder stars, you can't escape. Whitebeard's voice, like thunderclaps, descended from the swirling clouds, shaking the heavens and earth, shaking the hearts of men beyond compare. Weren't you supposed to prepare yourselves for death? Why are you trying to escape now, 5 elders? Have you all mentally prepared yourselves for death? Whitebeard's voice shook the 4 seas, and the world was shaken by it. The 5 elder stars remained in the same spot where they had fled, without looking back. Whitebeard displayed his true strength, which was overwhelming. Once again, users of the shimmering fruit ability, the rock-heating fruit ability, and a series of other powerful individuals were all killed by Whitebeard. Over 100 giants of the same race, including the gigantic Deadpool, were similarly annihilated. The Whitebeard pirates showed no sign of turning the tide against overwhelming power. The Revolutionary Army retreated. This battle, which lasted an incredibly long half-month, is now entering its final stages. The 5 elder stars fled in a panic. They recklessly tried to escape. The world government, under the banner of all forces, was annihilated, killed by the 930 killer, destroyed. Throughout the world, news spread incessantly that every single government and kingdom in the world had surrendered. Almost every kingdom had declared its surrender to the Whitebeard pirates. Far, almost worldwide, across the 4 seas east, south, west, north, south the first half of the Grand Line, the New World Grand Line, and countless kingdoms, all surrendered to Whitebeard under his banner. Whitebeard has become the uncrowned king. Dominate the world. Dominate the world. Even without Whitebeard's intervention, this world, with its countless islands and kingdoms, had already surrendered to Whitebeard's banner. Throughout the world, news constantly spread that countless kingdoms and islands had become subordinate to Whitebeard's power. The 4 emperors of the New World have long ceased to exist. Present. In the world of pirates, only 1 emperor remains. Throughout the land, people hail Whitebeard as the emperor. The whole world celebrates. Claim the throne of the world. The emperor reigns supreme over the world. The world government has officially dissolved, officially collapsed, officially fallen apart. The government, which had dominated the world for hundreds of years, was completely destroyed by the Whitebeard pirates, and Whitebeard completely overthrew its rule. The so-called corruption of justice was also shattered by Whitebeard. The era of global government dominance has officially ended. As originally stated, Sengoku's final words during his duel with Whitebeard in this era were written from Whitebeard's letters. Whitebeard completely rewrote this era. To write about this era, let's call it the Whitebeard era. The world of government dominance is completely over. In this era, only one supreme peak exists. On the other side, Edward Newgate, Whitebeard. Run, 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 run. The 5 elder stars, each holding a massive sunflower stalk shimmering with golden light, soared into the air with dazzling brilliance. Very fast. The 5 elder stars once again returned to the red line from the point where it had collapsed and broken, advancing forward. You won't escape. Whitebeard's myriad manifestations' harmonious halo followed closely behind, flying swiftly forward, chasing and killing, obscuring the sky above the myriad manifestations' harmonious halo, casting a shadow and enveloping the 5 elders above their heads. 5 elders, are you ready to welcome death? Boom, boom, boom. A terrifying barrage of firepower rained down on the 5 elder stars. Whitebeard, don't waste your energy. With Uranus's second appearance, our defense is invincible. The 5 elder stars were all covered in blood, their clothes tattered, their white beards and hair stained red. Whether from fresh blood or the dark red mud of the red line was unclear. Each of them looked incredibly disheveled. After fighting for almost half a month, they were completely exhausted. 3. As expected, the terrifying, overwhelming firepower directed at the 5 elders was immediately blocked by the golden light emanating from the heavenly king Uranus. Directly use overwhelming firepower to prevent it. There is no way to break through the golden light defense of the heavenly king Uranus. Ha ha ha, I told you, Whitebeard, don't even dream of breaking through our defenses. This is the heavenly king Uranus. Trying to harm us is simply nonsense. Edward Newgate, you didn't kill us. Leave us alone, Edward Newgate. You're not qualified to kill us. Seeing that the heavenly king Uranus was blocking their firepower, the 5 elder stars momentarily revealed relieved smiles. Finally, we're safe, right? Whitebeard maintained his usual calm demeanor, that kind of nonchalant air, the self-confidence of a powerful warrior. The demon's abilities are truly incapable of attacking you, and their firepower is blocked by the golden light. So, what if I use brute force? Bang! Whitebeard suddenly made his move. The terrifyingly profound hockey of the armament instantly overwhelmed Whitebeard's two fists. This time, Whitebeard only used his divine demonic body's physical strength and armament hockey enhancement, and did not use the shockwave force again. Bang! A power has collapsed. The sky and earth changed color, and the winds and clouds reversed. Boom, 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 0.4. Whitebeard leapt down from the harmonious abyss, his body soaring through the air, and unleashed a powerful punch. It landed directly on the 5 elder stars. Grandfather! A golden light burst forth in an instant. Like a protective shield, it kept the 5 elder stars safe. Crack! With a single punch from Whitebeard, the golden light emitted a crisp, resounding clang. The golden light staggered, about to fall. It works. Armament hockey, the sky-gazing king Uranus, is effective. Hide. The 5 elder stars have fled once again. Seize the opportunity and once again, frantically flee. Whitebeard, with his feet treading on the harmonious harmony hockey, returned to the ship's deck, knowing that the heavenly king Uranus could attack using armament hockey. All personnel, prepare. Whitebeard's voice boomed. The 5 elders, you can all die. Grandfather. The entire Whitebeard pirates, everyone assembled, and in an instant, armament hockey erupted from each of the powerful pirates. The Whitebeard pirates' ultimate skill combination, gathering armament hockey. The armament hockey gathered in one place, shaking the heavens and earth, incredibly terrifying. The entire massive harmony of all things was enveloped in this powerful armament hockey. Just for a moment, a sudden change. Boom! With Whitebeard as the leader, all members of the Whitebeard pirates possessed armament hockey, all gathered under Whitebeard's control. With a single punch from Whitebeard, in an instant, the heavens and earth changed color. Everything reverted to its original state, and chaos ensued. This power, it came down from heaven. This one ability possesses the armament hockey of the Whitebeard pirates. This one power represents the Mad Whitebeard's ultimate strength. This one move represents the ultimate combination of skills from the Whitebeard pirates. This power, descending from the heavens, falls directly upon the advancing heavenly King Uranus. Crack! 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 King Uranus blinked, unleashing wave after wave of golden light, using it to resist Whitebeard's combined hockey-infused punch. The waves of golden light, like a defensive shell, crumbled, shattered, and were swept away. Boom! Final! An endless burst of golden light erupted. The celestial King Uranus finally bursts forth in golden light. Crack! Shattered! The Whitebeard pirates' combined skill set was truly overwhelming, and coupled with Whitebeard's own peak strength and his boundless armament hockey, they completely destroyed the golden light unleashed by the elite Remember Uranus. 3. Like the sound of soap bubbles bursting, a crisp, clear sound rang out. The celestial King Uranus, with his delicate sunflower-like form, instantly shattered into pieces. From the sunflower, the ice shattered, and countless golden sunflower petals continuously flew out, constantly shooting out, suddenly transforming into a sky full of golden light, scattering in the air, gradually dissipating. No, 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 no. The 5 elder stars cried out in despair. Maybe. Not in use. All of this should come to an end. Pop, 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 pop. The 5 elder stars simultaneously fell from the celestial King Uranus, flying outwards, each suffering severe injuries and spitting up blood profusely. Their bodies were cracking, inch by inch. Cracks and fissures were constantly appearing all over the bodies of the 5 elder stars. Crack! Whitebeard extended his hand, his 5 fingers like eagle claws, and suddenly struck with a single blow. Grandfather! A terrifying surge of shocking force erupted from his 5 middle fingers, instantly forming 5 meticulously crafted void-shattering domains. In a flash, it pierced through all 5 of the 5 elders who had been sent flying. My heart is broken. A body of ice? The 5 elder stars, 5 people, instantly perished, their bodies and souls vanishing, ceasing to exist. Bang! 5 streams of blood mist instantly shot out as they advanced along the red line. The world's top 18 governments, the 5 elders, wield immense power and authority. Control the lifeblood of this world. Control the power of the 5 elders. Right now. Complete atonement. They were all killed by Whitebeard. Death, it no longer exists. The 5 elders, this term, became history written during Whitebeard's era. Grandfather. Right now. At the root of the continuously shattering heavenly King Uranus, the root system suddenly snapped, and a sky full of golden light and countless stars were suddenly drawn into the root system. Following closely behind, the dazzling needles bloomed once more. A small vine with sunflowers has appeared. A new seed of the celestial King Uranus has appeared. Whitebeard reached out and gently grasped a clump of the heavenly King Uranus's aura. Golden light flowed, incredibly dazzling and radiant. What a powerful aura! King Uranus, the heavenly king, has fallen into Whitebeard's hands. Bang! Whitebeard leapt back into the harmonious realm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! The Whitebeard pirates members were all gasping for breath, having just unleashed a devastating combination of hockey and armament skills that had completely depleted their remaining stamina. This level of skill combination consumes an incredibly high amount of energy. Father, victory. Marco looked up and, first, questioned Whitebeard. Whitebeard nodded, smiling, and said, victory. Victory. We, the Whitebeard pirates, have achieved complete victory. The world government has completely vanished. Even those who were completely exhausted were once again filled with excitement upon hearing the word victory. All of this, all the sacrifices, were worth it. Win belongs to the Whitebeard pirates. At this moment, all the members of the Whitebeard pirates cheered. Win! Never before has there been such exhilarating feelings of victory. This is an unprecedented battle, truly unlike anything seen before or after a battle that truly shook the world. a battle that truly changed the world. Finally, the Whitebeard pirates emerged victorious, a perfect victory, bringing the story to a close. And this struggle to overthrow the world's ruling government was a complete victory. The Whitebeard pirates. Everyone shouted, "Whitebeard father! Long live the father!" The Whitebeard era, the Whitebeard pirates era, father of the era. Long live father! The Whitebeard pirates were all cheering. At this very moment, the world is in turmoil, the world of the Great Islands is simultaneously shaken, and everyone is cheering. Go down to the sea. Whitebeard laughed and said, "Let the harmonious myriad forms return to the great ocean." The red line has been severed apart from ruins. There's nothing left, nothing worth lingering over. Grandfather. Just then, a silver arc of electricity shot upwards towards the other end of the red line, continuously ascending into the air. Whitebeard, you win, I lose, and I accept it wholeheartedly. A silver light flashed across the sky, and a strangely shaped, miniature spaceship floated in midair. A kind-looking middle-aged man from another dimension poked his head out. "I am Vegapunk. Whitebeard, excuse me. Huh?" Whitebeard lifted his head, looking towards the horizon. "Vegapunk, retire." After uttering those 3 words of annoyance, Vegapunk closed the spaceship's hatch, and the silver electric arc flashed once again. With a whoosh, the strangely shaped spaceship cautiously soared into the sky, aimed towards the moon. Enjoying the thunder fruit, Whitebeard laughed. Again, Vegapunk was ignored. Although he still wanted to study Whitebeard's secret resurrection technique, he had never actually fought against Whitebeard. There is little or no animosity. Moreover, Vegapunk isn't really a major villain. Whitebeard didn't need to pursue and kill them all. Bang! Sir? Suddenly, in the middle of the sea, the waves surged and roared incessantly. An incredibly powerful, invincible hockey user charged straight in, attacking directly. Red-haired Shanks. Whitebeard's eyes gleamed with light as he raised his head and looked straight ahead, where a pirate ship was frantically speeding towards the harmonious harmony. The Red Hair Pirates. The entire Whitebeard pirates were slightly taken aback. What does this mean? Red-haired Shanks, along with his red-haired pirates, now appeared in front. Could it be that red-haired Shanks intended to block the path of the harmonious union? Edward Newgate. Shanks appeared, one arm outstretched, a sword hanging from his hip. His demeanor was calm and composed, like a nonchalant gentleman. Perhaps, the more tranquil and unremarkable he appeared, the more terrifying he seemed. Listen, did you take possession of the historical map? What about the red historical signpost? Well done, red-haired Shanks. You truly are a hidden genius. Whitebeard originally thought that red-haired Shanks would appear during his decisive battle with the 5 elders, but unexpectedly, red-haired Shanks didn't show up. Oh! Whitebeard's gaze fixed on red-haired Shanks. Then he burst into laughter. Indeed, you were just as I suspected. But Shanks, you snot-nosed little brat, it's already quite an achievement to have reached this heavenly rank. Why would you deliberately seek your own death? The waves surged, and the lone red-haired Shanks stood on the bow of the ship, unmoved by the howling wind and crashing waves. He remained calm and confident, saying, "Your observation hockey is useless against me." That's right. Whitebeard laughed loudly. He had cultivated his observation hockey to an unfathomable level, allowing him to foresee the near future. He had also learned through his vision of the Red Hair Pirates' actions when they first raised the Germa Kingdom. And he had initially suspected that Red Hair Shanks would cause trouble on the Red Line. But he was wrong. Observation hockey had no way of predicting Shanks' actions. Maybe red-haired Shanks didn't know that. Whitebeard. He's a time traveler. Check out the original text of the time-traveling character. After you leave, there will be peace and prosperity. If you don't leave, no one can save you. The resentment, anger, and hatred that Whitebeard harbored within him were all poured out onto the 5 elders. Kill Blackbeard. Kill Akainu. Trampled upon by the Marine headquarters, The very island that once had the ultimate goal of protecting the sacred land of Mariagua has long since become a base under the Whitebeard Pirates banner. Trample the holy plains of Mariagua, slaughter the 5 elder stars. Whitebeard had never before displayed such overwhelming ferocity. There's no need for a massacre. The prerequisite is, don't provoke yourself. 0. Kill without mercy. Very fast. News spread that red-haired Shanks had left the Grand Line and returned to the East Blue. Then came a very long period of time. The world is in a state of complete turmoil. Originally a chaotic and unstable era, a great age, it was completely cut short. During Whitebeard's era, he completely suppressed all the chaos and disorder, allowing this world to return to its proper course once again. The Great Pirate Era, as always, flourished and prospered. The piracy was as vibrant as ever, but those extremely evil pirates were gone because Whitebeard wouldn't allow such wicked people to exist. Sengoku, Garp, Kizaru, Akainu, Doflamingo, King of Beasts Kadu, and Charlotte Linlin, Blackbeard Teach, and so on. All of these enemies will pay for their crimes. The fighting spirit was overflowing, completely devoid of emotion. The unbearable decay of the world of government has come to a complete end, a complete collapse. The Whitebeard era will be ruled by Whitebeard himself. Whitebeard redefines justice in this world. Whitebeard is redefining this world. The world is becoming increasingly prosperous. The Great Pirate Era continues in the same place, continues to develop in the same place, with supernovas constantly emerging and villains appearing. However, the most evil people are all being attacked by a united front. The first half of the Grand Line connects to the New World, and there's no longer a need to pass through Fishman Island, which is 10,000 meters deep in the ocean, because the Red Line collapsed. The Red Line, at its peak in this battle, was sunk in a large section. That's right, it's the section connecting the first half of the Grand Line to the New World. Present. Directly from the surface of the sea, one can pass through and enter the New World. Moreover, the 2 islands guarding the New World and the first half of the Grand Line, where they connect, one being the original Marine headquarters and the other the New World Marine headquarters, both fell into the hands of the Whitebeard pirates, becoming islands under their banner. He immediately said, "Currently, the first half of the Grand Line and the entrance to the New World are controlled by the Whitebeard pirates. When future generations enter the New World, they will involuntarily look up at the 2 cliffs of the Red Line, a sight that will awe the soul. Time flies by in the blink of an eye. 2 months have passed. For these 2 months, the Whitebeard pirates were in complete frenzy. Dad, the entire historical red signpost is right here." Marco carried along the official historical documents that appeared on the ship's deck. These historical texts were obtained after killing Charlotte Linlin, after defeating Kadu, and finally after killing the 5 elders, Princess Shirahoshi, through the Sea King's power. Discovered several pieces of historical text in the deep sea where the Red Line collapsed. It's as if all the valuable historical texts are being gathered together in one place. Nika, Robin. Whitebeard chuckled. Present. As the voice faded, Nick Robin, wearing a cowboy hat and casual clothes, appeared in the boat's cabin, interested in translating some historical texts at a glance. Whitebeard looked towards Nika. Robin, with her graceful figure and proud demeanor, actually possessed a certain beauty. Robin bowed respectfully, smiling as he said, "It's a great honor. Time flies by in the blink of an eye. It's been 3 months again." Inside the boat's cabin. System, how many emotional value points do I currently have? Whitebeard dispatched personnel to the system to gather information. Host, you currently have to point to 2 million points of emotional value. Very good. System, currently in this world, apart from the ultimate treasure island, there's nothing else worth investigating. Is it possible to travel to other worlds? What Whitebeard noticed most was that he was able to travel to the pirate world and obtain a system. Surely, after reaching the pinnacle of this world, he could unlock the ability to travel through space and time to other worlds, or perhaps to return to Earth. Of course, the host only needs to spend 1 million mental points to gain the authority to travel between other worlds for permanent use. Which world is it? Can I return to Earth? Naturally, the host can freely travel between any world of the same level or a lower level. If they want to enter a higher level world, such as a fantasy world, they need to dominate that world and completely enhance their abilities before they can enter the fantasy world. It's also possible to travel to a fantasy world. Whitebeard's body trembled. That's great. Extremely drawn to the fantasy world. Ancient heaven world. Battle through the world. A perfect world. Immortal rebellion world. A world of mortals cultivating immortality. These are all people with immense power who aspire to reach the world. One day, Whitebeard wanted to roam the worlds, to have fun in countless worlds. Thinking back, it's all so exciting. System, grant me the authority to switch between different worlds. 1,000,000 heartfelt sentiments, truly worthwhile. Previously, during his battles against the world government and the 5 elders, Whitebeard gained approximately over 1,000,000 points of mental energy. No loss. It is precisely in the exchange of worldly authority, eternal authority. The sound system started playing. Follow me. With a sudden gasp, Whitebeard felt a mysterious and unpredictable force within his body, inexplicable and enigmatic, half real and half illusory, seemingly non-existent yet incredibly real. In Whitebeard's mind, a large piece of information about traveling between worlds, along with necessary precautions, also appeared. I never thought I'd be able to return to Earth. So after I complete the great treasure, I'll return to Earth for a visit. Earth. Whitebeard, the sheep man, is also there. Initially, they plotted to kill him, targeting his superior. That guy must die. System, if I were to transmigrate back to Earth, wouldn't this body of mine be too big? Edward. Newgate asked about it. This body is indeed very convenient, incredibly powerful, and unparalleled in its dominance, but perhaps, at certain times, it's not so advantageous. Host, there's no need to worry. After traveling through different worlds, you can freely change your body shape, and you can also freely change the size of this body. Moreover, your strength won't be subject to any limitations. In other words, regardless of whether you change the size of your body or not, you will have the same level of strength, just as powerful, just as domineering. The system responded, completely reassuring Whitebeard, and he took a tranquility pill. Then it couldn't be better. Whitebeard nodded. I urge you sincerely. A knock sounded at the door, followed by a soft, gentle voice. The historical texts have all been translated and brought here. That's great then. Whitebeard opened the door and stepped out of the cabin. Nico Robin handed him a very large map and nautical chart. She pointed to the 4 islands where the Lieutenant General was located, a place where 4 islands intersected in a local network, and said, according to historical records, the final island, Raftel, is located at this position. Finally, Raftel Island. Great secret treasure. One Piece. Kia truly exists. Kia is all the pirates of their dreams. That's an expression of boundless wealth. 500. Similarly, proof that completing the Grand Line leads to the final island. Then let's go. All personnel prepare. Head towards the final island on the Grand Line, towards Raftel. The Whitebeard Pirates crew all cheered. Today, the whole world is paying attention. On this day, the Whitebeard Pirates once again set sail. Time flew by, and 2 years passed. The Whitebeard Pirates successfully reached the final island and, moreover, completely obtained the great treasure. It will send shockwaves through the world. However, within these 2 years, the world had been completely unified by Whitebeard's pirate crew. The entire pirate world belonged to Whitebeard's banner. Whitebeard of the modern era. Whitebeard Empire. Emperor Whitebeard. This kind of title, constantly spreading throughout the Grand Line, naturally also led to the emergence of countless new pirates. Almost all of the new superstar pirate's goal was to challenge Whitebeard and become a man like him. And the woman of his dreams, the one he almost had, was to marry Whitebeard. One day, the void trembled, shaking the entire pirate world. People looked up at the sky, and in an instant, an enormous figure appeared in the heavens to Whitebeard. The power to shatter the void. Whitebeard stood proudly in the void, his two fists radiating to terrifying forces. His god-demon body vibrated with the power of the shockwave, pouring all of Whitebeard's strength into his hands. Shattering the void with my fists isn't a big problem. But, system, are you sure that if I shatter the void, I can enter a world portal and enter other worlds? The system's voice boomed, of course. The host has already switched to the ability to travel back and forth through the void. So there's absolutely no need to worrying about getting lost in the dimensional passageways. Okay, Whitebeard said cheerfully. East. One day, the heavens and earth trembled and a gigantic black hole appeared, shattered by Whitebeard's two punches. The black hole was constantly expanding and growing larger. It obscured the sky. The world is in turmoil. The void was shattered. Whitebeard broke through the void with his martial arts and walked through the void. Preserve the endless legends of the pirate world. In H2Azia, G reduced to 10,000 great mountains to a small mound of earth. A young man, about 1.8 meters tall, with a dark complexion, sat on a mound of earth, looking very puzzled. Looking around at the surroundings, which were both familiar and strange, the young man tried to recall something. Why am I here? The young man struggled to utter a sound, because he found his body felt heavy and lifeless. Is this Earth? The young man, his eyes clouded with exhaustion, struggled to reveal an expression of astonishment. I'm back. After some time, the young man's body gradually adapted, and his memories became clearer. He called True Tren Nam, a former undercover agent in the drug lord's lair, codenamed 007. At that time, only one person knew his true identity, Chin Jijin, his superior. The two had always maintained a one-way communication, yet he betrayed the country. Just moments before the operation to reel in the nets began, something unexpected happened. His undercover identity was exposed, and immediately afterwards, possessing the drug like a hungry wolf, his eyes filled with malice. He forcibly shoved the world's most potent substance into his mouth, then threw him into Thi Sun Nat Cliff. After his death, he unexpectedly transmigrated to the pirate world, becoming Edward Newgate Whitebeard, who died and was reborn after the Summit War. Moreover, he also received a binding system along with his transmigration. This is a world full of adventure, danger, and all sorts of challenges, and it's also a pirate paradise. He used his repair and restoration system to completely heal the wounds he sustained during the Summit battle. The Navy headquarters, the world government, all the powerful forces tremble. He is conquering the pirate world step by step. Whitebeard's fame resounded throughout the world for the second time, and everyone was terrified by his legendary feats. To this day, he has never suffered a defeat in battle. After numerous chases and attempts to kill him, they finally killed the cunning Blackbeard and reclaimed his long-lost devil fruit ability. Then he rose to the very top of the pirate world. He conquered Muriedwa and was simultaneously hailed by everyone as the world's strongest man. Now that angry man is back. Turn Nam awoke from his reverie, trying to sense his current physical condition. My body was in terrible shape before, but this is who I truly am. He tried to awaken the pirate world's hidden abilities and finally discovered something. Repair the system and check our current capabilities in all aspects. Yes, host. A gentle voice echoed in Tren Nam's mind. A shockwave of power the ultimate. Armament hockey ability ultimate. Observation hockey ability ultimate. Conqueror's hockey ultimate ability. Turn Nam breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that returning to Earth finally brought him some capital. He no longer needed to live under extreme caution, constantly watching people's expressions, and he wouldn't have to wake up from nightmares like before. It's just that, host, You currently have some toxins in your body. But don't worry, host. The repair function has now been activated. The young man took another deep breath, waiting. Tick, tick, tick. Congratulations, host. You have exhausted your accumulated fear value in the pirate world, successfully expelled the toxins, and your body has fully recovered. Physical fitness level the ultimate limit. According to the system's response, Turnam, who had just been covered in dark marks on his forehead, instantly regained his normal complexion. His face also became incredibly handsome and youthful, as if he had suddenly returned to his most handsome and energetic age on Earth. He nodded in satisfaction, then seemed lost in thought. He had too many regrets in his previous life. In this life, he wants to make up for it all. Those concessions were things he would regret for the rest of his life, and he would absolutely never let them happen again. In this life, he only cares about himself and the lives of those he cares about. Turnam revealed a confident smile, his eyes even more alluring and seductive. At this moment, if any woman were to see him, she would undoubtedly be captivated. Those wounds inflicted upon me, but I'm glad to see you all alive and well. Don't let me down. We'll find each and every one of you very soon and settle the score. Even though many things have happened over the years, that doesn't mean he will forget. And then there are those who break up entire groups, those who cause countless families to be torn apart by drugs. Today, I'm going to uproot you all. He secretly vowed to immediately search the local area in his memory. A few miles away, on a mountaintop, stood a short, thin, middle-aged man, muttering angrily as he walked. Damn it, it's so hot. I have to do this arduous work. While you guys are enjoying yourselves blowing fans and eating watermelon, making me come to this abandoned factory. He called Malawa, a member of the Jew-level gang in the 10,000 Great Mountains drug lord's hideout, and today he was sent from above to retrieve items from an abandoned factory. The new hideout is located deeper in the mountains and forests, about 10 kilometers away from here. The mountain roads are not easy to travel. Every 10 kilometers or so, the bumpy, uneven terrain takes about 3 hours to traverse. Seeing the abandoned factory approaching, Old Man Ma paused for a moment, pulled out a cigarette from his pocket, and wanted to go up and have a chat. Although he was a drug dealer, handling a considerable amount of drugs every day, there were rules to follow. If anyone dared to use drugs, the boss would absolutely send them to the snakes. Last month, a new recruit arrived and was discovered breaking the rules. Upon learning of this, the boss sent someone to throw him into a mountain cave. He was also there at the time and discovered a giant python, about 20 meters long, inside the cave. Its entire body was jet black. Its mouth was full of blood and fangs, and as soon as it emerged from the nearby area, a cold wind howled. The black python's eyes gleamed as it stared intently at its prey, then it swallowed the crying, screaming infant whole. Finally, seemingly not having eaten enough, it spat out a crimson tongue and sized them up. Fortunately, the boss muttered a few words they didn't understand before letting it climb back into its mountain cave. Damn it, I almost saved my life. Even now, thinking about it gives me goosebumps. Old Man Ma recalled with a hint of fear. He then frantically searched through all the bags on his person, looking for something. Thou, where's the lighter? Where's my lighter? Did I leave it on the street? Today's luck is really bad. Old Man Ma was furious. He hadn't seen his lighter, which he'd used not long ago. He was about to turn around to see if it had fallen nearby when suddenly a strange figure caught his eye. This person is about 10 meters behind him. How can this person be dressed like this? They're not wearing any clothes at all. Millions of coins going into the mountains to gather herbs. This is the season when insect pests are devastating the crops. Doesn't he fear being burned? Old Man Ma's suspicions gradually grew. That's not right. That's not right. Even if you're not afraid of insects, you're not carrying a bamboo basket on your back, nor a bag. So how can you carry herbs? Old Man Ma had all sorts of speculations in his mind, but he dismissed them one by one. Could it be that they went into the mountains to look for paper? Old Man Ma was weary. Although he was suspicious of the naked body on the other side, it didn't look like it. His hand silently reached for the pistol tucked behind his back, ready to strike at the slightest sign of trouble. He felt no mercy. He had taken many lives, and if sentenced, he'd probably be able to shoot anyone within 10 minutes. Facing the other man, who walked leisurely 50 meters, 40 meters, 30 meters, he held the pistol in his palm, yet sweat was beading on his skin. Second brother Ma, are you looking for this? The young man's face wore a charming smile, a low-quality lighter dangling from his outstretched hand. Old Man Ma's eyes widened in astonishment, and the smoke from his mouth even fell out. You. Old Man Ma, his speech changing and stuttering, ignored the smoke, regained his composure, and ran while shouting, "Grandma, you devil!" A cold, contemptuous snort rang out, and Ma Lao froze Marlin in place, his lips trembling. It wasn't that he didn't want to run, but rather that an overwhelming pressure was coming towards him, and his whole body was beyond his control. Seeing the insignificant ant-like Ma Lao, Emperor Trin Nam withdrew his oppressive aura, smiled slightly, and calmly said, "I'm back, and of course I'm not a demon. Look, isn't it daytime now?" With the pressure gone, Old Man Ma finally woke up, gasping for breath, his heart filled with unparalleled terror. How is he living? Isn't he supposed to be using love potions to transform things? That stuff is extremely poisonous. However, years of near-death experiences had brought him back to his senses, his expression grim. Hey, as long as someone is alive, that's all that matters, he thought to himself, and once again tightened his grip on the barrel of the green-silver pistol. The pressure I felt just now must have been something I was scaring myself with. Trin Nam glanced at him, seeing through his subtle movements, and calmly said, "I don't want to make a pointless struggle." Breaking collision, second brother Ma immediately fired 2 shots, intending to fight to the death. The result terrified him. Impossible. A silver pistol, the most powerful pistol. This is top-of-the-line equipment that Frank D'Amico brought here from the United States. Even this deadly weapon has no effect on him. Trin Nam didn't flinch or even blink. He remained standing in the same spot, his handsome face displaying a look of complete satisfaction. He deliberately tested his physical strength, so he slightly used a layer of armament hockey for defense. Then he calmly said, "Is this your trump card, 673? Seeing Ma Lao still staring with wide eyes and an open mouth, Qiao Chennan shook his head and said, "What a ridiculous display of firearms! Let me show you a little bit of true strength." No sooner had he finished speaking than he clenched his fist, conjuring a luminous sphere accompanied by a faint sound of exploding air nearby. This is the pirate world's most infamous force torn apart. Unbreakable. Second Master Ma was terrified for the second time. He gasped in shock and at the same time felt complete despair. What is this? Is this the technique of the immortals according to legend? How are you so strong? A resounding crash. This man, burdened with the lives of many drug addicts, his body exploded, blood splattering everywhere, staining the trees nearby. Died at the hands of those below. This place is deserted. The new hideout is located about 10 kilometers to the north. After killing Ma Lao, Trin Nam used his observation hockey to gather this useful information. It was in this simple moment of reflection that the image of a gentle voice came to mind. "Congratulations, host! You have activated the trading system. Shopping mall system. As the host, the system gains different values that strike fear into the hearts of pirates, and that's why it has this function." I understand. Chen Nan nodded, not expecting that his reincarnation would unexpectedly activate other system functions. Are there any clothes for sale in the shopping mall? Of course, the hosts can choose for themselves. Currently, the host is only able to purchase items at the low-level store due to the shocking value. Although Qiao Chennan was naked, and despite his handsome physique surpassing international male models, it still seemed somewhat indecent. After carefully examining himself for a while, Zhao Chennan chose a set of clothes that fit him well. Finally, after putting them on, he instantly outshone a movie star. Beyond 10 miles, the drug lord's new hideout was discovered. On the hillside, there is a newly built, luxurious villa, magnificent and splendid. Inside the villa, drug lord Lei Yuanlong sat on a sofa, chatting with his superiors. This man, around 50 years old, was robust in build, and his many years of risking his life had made him appear fierce and terrifying. Third brother, what have you been busy with lately? Lei Yuanlong asked in a low voice, his tone tinged with displeasure. Boss, yesterday I tied up 2 female college students. They were fellow explorers in the mountains. Third brother was shocked, his face changing color. He didn't know who leaked the information. He had planned to enjoy them himself, but the boss found out. You're quite quick-witted, aren't you? We're in the business of taking lives, and we shouldn't let women cloud our judgment and let our outstanding skills be jeopardized. Lei Yuanlong tapped his subordinate. Yes, boss, I haven't forgotten my skills. Nowadays, ordinary people can't even get close to me, the third drug lord quickly stated, continuing, I just got my hands on an AK, and I'm already proficient at it. A rabbit over 100 meters away only needs 1 shot. I can also handle a sniper rifle well. Upon hearing his subordinate's reply, Lei Yuanlong nodded in satisfaction. Then, thinking of something else, he asked, how is the progress of that new group? We've added more staff. It should be finished by tomorrow at the latest, and everything will be heading to the market within a week, the third drug lord replied with a smile. Their sales volume wasn't bad to begin with, and this time, with the new, purer product, sales will be even better. Touch, touch. The 2 men were talking when they heard 2 gunshots in the distance. What's the situation? Lei Yuanlong asked the drug lord Lao San with a puzzled expression. It seems the henchmen are getting familiar with firearms. At this time, the drug lord's hideout was located at the foot of the mountain. Tran Nam Toa sat in his chair, oblivious to the 2 drug-laced corpses lying at his feet, and delicately enjoyed his wine. 2 people have just been shot. Suddenly, a gang of aggressive drug addicts rushed towards him, surrounding him, each with a gun pointed at him. Silver caliber, AK-47, M16. Tran Nam looked up, glancing at the muzzles of guns in all directions, smiled, and continued to enjoy his wine. Everyone stared at each other in astonishment. Some had noticed something and exchanged glances in a small group. Brother John, who is this person? A very young-looking man asked the person next to him curiously. He was a new employee, had never seen Triu Tran Nam before, and was unaware of what had happened 3 years ago. He felt his honor was being challenged. The other man was sitting there drinking wine, while he was standing. He wanted to shout loudly, how arrogant, don't you know your place? Or are you unaware of the many guns pointed at you? But he noticed that Zhang Jie, who had always been fearless, was now stunned and didn't answer his question at all. What's going on? The Southern Dynasty seems to be waiting for something. You're a spy from the Southern Dynasty. Finally, a middle-aged man in his 40s couldn't help but speak first. He knew the Southern Dynasty, but the man who had died many years ago had returned. The Tran Nam Dynasty official didn't even look at him, sipped his wine, and casually uttered a single word, hum. The rooster sprout, as he knew from his previous life, was a wicked person who had killed a patrol officer. In his previous life, he had considered setting him up in the wilderness to ambush him, but ultimately realized the danger was too great. How are you still alive? Hong Die's expression turned grim, his voice low and menacing. He glanced around, seeing so many people and so many guns, and his courage grew. He stared intently at Zhao Chennan while drawing his gun and saying menacingly, "You're lucky, kid." Last time it was a case of circumstances changing, but this time I'll feed you a bullet. After speaking, he paid no attention to the others and prepared to unleash a barrage of bullets. Rowdy. Tran Nam frowned slightly, his gaze at the budding rose with a hint of unease. Instead of seeking death, wouldn't it be better to stay alive? although he had no intention of sparing anyone alive on the spot. The young man, calling him Brother Jiang, finally snapped out of his shock and understood why Hong Dat hadn't fired his gun. It was because everyone present was under immense pressure. It wasn't that over 100 of them surrounded Xiao Chennan, but rather that Xiao Chennan alone surrounded all of them. He had a feeling that if anyone dared to fire a gun, the person who would die wouldn't be the young man in front of him, but whoever fired the shot. Roar, roar, roar. With the electric fan running at a steady speed, the person sitting there actually felt even more stuffy. Do you have any cigarettes? Suddenly feeling a little bored, Trio Nam glanced around after speaking. As expected, at the location where the drugs were found, there was not a single movement. He tried to maintain his grip on the gun, regardless of the cold sweat running down his face. I have it here. Nam was a little surprised to hear a woman's voice. Wasn't this lair supposed to be off limits to women until now? Had the rules changed? The crowd parted to make way, and most of the drug dealers were a little suspicious. When did a woman get into the camp? Was she involved in the flesh trade with wild chickens? Two young women appeared, trembling slightly as they walked forward, holding hands. Both were exceptionally beautiful, one a mature woman, the other a lowly. However, both showed signs of having cried, appearing somewhat haggard. These girls are the same students that drug lord Lao Tang captured yesterday. He just didn't get a chance to enjoy them yet. Can you save us? We're students, lost in the mountains, and being threatened by bad guys, the tall female student cautiously asked. The girl simply explained. Her name was Yijing, a first-year university student at Jinhai University. During the summer break, she and her roommate, Lin Yijing, joined a team, but unexpectedly, they separated 2 days ago and then met with misfortune. Give me a reason. Skilled in technique, will you warm my bed? I'm not a good person. Nam pondered over the 20 questions. He wasn't a saint, otherwise he would have died of exhaustion long ago. You, I. The two beautiful girls were a little agitated, completely at a loss. Having just escaped danger, are we really going to walk right into the lion's den? The women, taking advantage of the moment when the staff were temporarily detained, hastily left without locking the door. They then ran out and hid nearby to eavesdrop. They then discovered that the man surrounded was quite extraordinary. The women's sixth sense told them this was their only chance to escape the mountains. Upon entering, they found out he was a young, handsome man. Just kidding. Seeing the two girls immediately burst into tears, Xiao Chen Nanping said indifferently. He had just accepted the cigarette offered to him when a woman quickly lit one for him. After taking a puff of smoke, Trio Nam turned to the two women and said, if you don't want to have nightmares, just close your eyes. No sooner had he finished speaking than, from inside the stash of drugs, one of the men fell down, his head smashed open. It was the drug dealer's trusted confidant, the one in charge of holding the woman captive. Just now, he had the idea of firing a gun, but Xiao Chen Nan detected it using his hockey observation. The Nam dynasty's expression remained unchanged. He merely waved his hand dismissively, as if nothing had happened. What will happen? Unbelievable! How is that possible? What did I just see? Is it really possible just by waving your hand? Everyone present was terrified. Their eyes widened in shock, and they felt a bone-chilling cold, unable to accept this cruel reality. Gradually, some of the leaders couldn't take it anymore and were so scared they wet their pants. Having disliked the arrogant young man from the Southern Dynasty from the beginning, his expression instantly turned extremely unpleasant. He's not just arrogant, he has the strength. He has utter contempt for all of us. The pink sprout's aura fluctuated violently, its face filled with surprise. He deeply regretted his earlier glibness. Now, thinking about it, he felt a chill run down his spine. The two beautiful and obedient schoolgirls have just opened their eyes, but it's unclear what's happening with their breathing. At that moment, while the crowd was still in shock, a man approached. He wore a piece of black cloth, was barefoot, and his age was indiscernible. He was reciting an incantation while drawing something with his bare hands. A cultivation force on earth. Chen Nan was a little curious. After being reborn, he finally encountered something that piqued his interest. The incantation's sound gradually became clearer, spreading in all directions. "Oh, how come I don't feel any pressure?" a poisonous drug user asked. "Me too. I was terrified just a moment ago, but now I feel nothing." A little drug, sensing the situation had taken a turn, waited until the pressure subsided, then gasped for breath. Those big shots quietly gave low ratings. His magic has been broken. There are so many of us. Why should we be afraid of him alone? Even one person with a single spear could beat him into a pulp. Xiao Chen-nan wasn't angry. He simply found it a little amusing, a swarm of stinking ants. Then, calmly, he said, "I, Xiao Chen-nan, will sit here today. If you want to live, try attacking me. If I lose even a single hair, I'll be fine." He paused, looked around, and continued, "Consider me defeated." As soon as Emperor Tren Nam finished speaking, he waved his hand, and the man who had piqued his interest even slightly fell to the ground, clutching his arms and legs and screaming in agony. Possessing drugs a second time is terrifying. Just when hope had begun to emerge, it was immediately extinguished. Pine, a young man, knelt down. He was the same one who had previously held the Tern Nam dynasty in contempt for drug use. Brother, I beg you, please spare my life." The young man spoke while repeatedly bowing his head. He was truly convinced, but also truly afraid. Immediately afterwards, some more drugs knelt down. Thump, thump, thump. In an instant, out of the original more than 120 people, only a little over 10 remained able to persevere. True Tren Nam stood up, slowly walked towards a nearby young man, and stopped. Then, a kick was delivered. Young people are like football, a form of flight towards the distant horizon. Bowing down is useless. Do you think we, the southern dynasty of the Tern dynasty, are that simple? After the voice finished speaking, a few seconds passed before the sound of the body hitting the ground could be heard. The two beautiful girls now understood what had happened. They had initially stared wide-eyed at the protagonist, then exchanged glances, both seeing the same word in each other's eyes: shock. The pink sprout looked as if it had been hit by a sledgehammer. It seemed unlikely it would escape death today. "No, even if I die, I want to drag him down with me." As if remembering something, his face, devoid of any human expression, showed a flicker of madness, revealing a look of delirium. 503 explosives. TNT. The rosy sprout reached the stone, joyful and triumphant. He refused to admit that years ago, he had allowed himself to slaughter the southern dynasty, and now he could arbitrarily control his own life and death. Triu Tern Nam, I know I won't live today. But even if I die, I want to drag you down with me. Ha ha ha. Hangda, with several explosives strapped to his body, roared at Triu Tern Nam. Seeking death? Tern Nam snorted coldly, then suddenly his figure moved, shooting out like a bullet towards the red sprout. In 2 or 3 breaths, True Tren Nam returned to his original position, and the red sprouts, along with the explosives on his body, turned into a pile of dregs. Kill them immediately. He didn't borrow any abilities. He only relied on his physical strength and martial arts skills. The whole school fell silent. A second wave of terror. Those under the influence of drugs turned pale and their faces turned ashen. They had never imagined facing this kind of death, and certainly never thought they would die at the hands of this young man. They are the invincible drug lords who roam the 10,000 great mountains. The Tern Nam clan stared intently at the drug addicts, without saying a word, which filled the hearts of the dozen or so men with fear. Standing is not an option, kneeling is not an option either. Can the male singer give me a quick and painless death? At that moment, as Tren Nam was deep in thought, a sudden sense of danger flooded his mind, a feeling honed by years of combat experience in the pirate world. Oh, that's quite interesting, after all. A captivating smile appeared on Chen Nan's lips. Armament hockey. At that moment, a tremendous roar echoed from the distant mountains. This is a heavy-duty acoustic sniper rifle. Upon seeing the drug's effects, their expressions changed to excitement. It must be their bullet. This is the most powerful sniper rifle. 12,799 millimeters bullets. It can even penetrate walls. Furthermore, some local foreign affairs records state that those hit by bullets are basically blown in half. Dead? Absolutely dead. Of course, you think he's really a god. Drug users in the group were screaming with euphoria. That's right, why can't we find his body? There is a drug problem present at the scene. Immediately afterwards, another person replied, "He's not dead, he's hiding." The drug gang members glanced left and right, but indeed, they couldn't see Triu turn Nam. At this moment, their emotions were like riding a cable car. The hope that had just been kindled was extinguished. They truly hoped that Xiao Chen Nan would be defeated, and some even prayed to the Bodhisattva for protection. Maybe he ran away. Their only hope now was to cling to a hopeful mindset. Naturally, Tren Nam did not hide or flee instead. The moment he realized the danger, he instantly leapt onto the roof and observed the surroundings from afar. The house was surrounded on all sides by mountains and dense trees, making it easy to hide. Interesting. You want to ambush me. He 963 happily played this kind of game, which to him was like a cat and mouse game. At that moment, 500 meters away from him, outside the small mountain peak, a drug addict was terrified. He was the third drug lord, and after talking with Lei Yuanlong, he was preparing to escort the two women as gifts to the boss. Just as he was approaching the camp, he realized something was wrong. Xiao Chen Nan had actually survived and returned. What happened in the living room afterwards shocked him even more. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, the drug dealer, Old Third, secretly sought out Bullet. He wanted a desperate counterattack, but the outcome was beyond his expectations. How is he so strong? The third drug lord's face was grim, cold sweat trickling down his forehead. He actually managed to escape danger based on his intuition. He didn't bother wiping away his sweat because he realized there seemed to be a chance. Xiao Chen Nan actually dared to stand on the rooftop, bringing it to the door. Then, next year on this day, it will be the anniversary of your death, Tren Nam. Ping, ping, ping. From the mountain valley came the heavy sound of gunfire from Bullet again. 1 wound to gunshots, 3 shots. The drug lord, Old Third, was drenched in cold sweat, and what terrified him even more was that every time someone aimed at him and fired, they were met with. At that time, the Southern Dynasty was able to perfectly leap over the barrier. After a moment of stunned silence, he couldn't help but curse. Damn it, how did Triu turn Nam BJCD become so strong? At that moment, everyone in the room also noticed the situation outside. Lowly Lin Yu, terrified and vaguely worried, said he's on the rooftop. So, with the muzzle of a gun pointed at you from below, you're not even afraid of a sniper. The elegant and refined lady snapped out of her shock. Similarly, the Southern Dynasty of the Tran Dynasty was in a precarious situation and was anxiously awaiting news. This mysterious and handsome man has now completely overturned their perceptions. He could win too. There's surely nothing he can't do. The two thought silently to themselves. On the rooftop, Shu Tren Nam perfectly evaded the ambush, but also discovered a hidden sniper. Haha, hiding there. Confidently guessing the target, Triu Tren Nam leapt towards it with unimaginable speed. Deep in the woods, drug lord Lao Tam's eyes widened as he quickly glanced at Xiao Chen Nan, his heart filled with despair. If he could, he absolutely wouldn't choose to go up the mountain, and even less would he fantasize about using Bullet to assassinate this godlike man. There are no ifs. The two met in the forest. Looking up at the drug addict in front of him, Xiao Chen Nan calmly said, "Jiao Yang, you didn't expect this, did you? I, Xiao Chen Nan, have returned." In his previous life, this person was the one who forcibly poisoned the Southern Dynasty's drug lord, the third highest ranking figure in the drug trade, Jia Yangsong. The reason he waited in the camp for so long was to draw enemy fire, so that every single person could be wiped out. It's a case of enemies meeting unexpectedly. Only one of them can survive. You really are Zhao Chennan. Drug kingpin Zhao Yang was still in disbelief. There's no pretense. You die at my hands today, so feel honored. Upon hearing these words, Zhao Yang was filled with both fear and despair. Lord Tren Nam, please spare my life. Kneeling on the ground, Zhao Yang said desperately, I'll give you all my money. Please, sir, don't hold a grudge against a petty person like me. No one in the world wants to die. Do you think from the moment you saw me, you still had any hope of survival? Looking at Zhao Yang, who was unparalleled in his previous life but now knelt before him like a worm, Zhao Chennan remained calm. Nam. Rowdy. The Tern Nam dynasty did not give Triu Dijang a chance to speak further, killing him with a single punch. Then he turned and ran towards the drug lord's hideout. After 5 minutes, True Tren Nam stood leisurely in front of the luxurious villa's entrance. Person. Loud shouts echoed from the villa, and drug dealers emerged from inside, their faces grim. All they saw was a handsome young man with his hands in his pockets, seemingly oblivious to their presence. Who are you? One of them frowned and asked. He was somewhat intimidated by the composed man. It feels like we've met somewhere before. Another person also frowned, looking a little suspicious, but couldn't remember what it was at the moment. You forgot so quickly, you didn't even recognize me. The handsome Chen Nan smiled and continued, 3 years ago you even threw me down the mountainside. You're that mole. You are Tren Nam. The two men looked shocked. The infiltrator was still alive. Oh, you remember now, so you were preparing to commit suicide, or you wanted me to do it. Chen Nan's hands were still in his pockets. You're courting death. Two men emerged from the villa, their anger blazing. The knife wounds on their faces were bloody, and they both looked ferocious. King Tren Nam Bin calmly looked at the two men and continued. In my eyes, you two are like two ants. I could crush you in half a minute. Ha ha. The two drug dealers looked as if they'd heard a great joke. Crush us in half a minute. What a boastful statement. In their hearts, any one of them could easily subdue the young man before them. After all, they had once, two men with two knives, killed over 20 drug traffickers. Not just any dog or cat could become a bodyguard for a drug lord. This brat dared to humiliate them like that. He truly deserves to be chopped into 1,000 pieces. I'd be happy to kill you again. I want to tear you into 8 pieces, then throw you out into the cave for the snakes to eat. One of them shouted, his voice filled with overwhelming killing intent, because it was the first time he had encountered someone who treated him with such contempt. Another person couldn't help but shout, you really don't know your place. Didn't you learn your lesson last time? Now you're jumping out to court death again. Seeing only the corners of Chen Nan's mouth curve into a beautiful smile, he said indifferently, oh, really? He finally pulled his left hand out of his pocket, which was clenched into a fist, then suddenly swung it. It's torn, but not broken. A streak of white light shot out from his fist, accompanied by a vibrating sound in the air. Break! Before the other man could say he wanted to be torn apart by 5 horses, the drug addict True Tren Nam exploded on the spot and died, his body scattering into more than a dozen pieces. Another drug dealer stared wide-eyed and open-mouthed at the mutilated body on the ground. Damn it, are you a human or a god? He now speaks with a stutter, and his whole body trembles. The Tern Nam dynasty merely wielded a single power at will, allowing his companions to die tragically. It was something he could never have imagined, and a thought crossed his mind. This is the technique of an immortal. The remaining drug addicts stared intently at the pile of corpses on the ground, and after a long time, murmured, Were you the one who went down the cliff and was rescued by an immortal? And did you learn immortal skills from him? With just a hoarse sound, Triutur Nam looked up and saw the drugs had already been thrown. Want to run away? The drug addict naturally had to run away. From the moment he saw that powerful punch from Triutur Nam, his heart sank into an abyss. I never imagined that just 3 years without seeing him would make him so incredibly powerful. Don't even talk about him alone. Even if everyone else were here, they wouldn't be enough to take down this young man. He didn't know the remaining drugs were in his possession, and he died 5 minutes earlier. Turning around to escape the drug addict, he thought to himself and even sped up desperately. But Xiao Qiannan sneered and said, running away. Running away from drugs, inner turmoil, jealousy, and suffering. You're all so powerful, yet you can't just treat me like a fart and let me go. Without hesitation, Tran Nam threw a second punch. Again, a streak of white light flashed across the sky, striking the drugs behind it. Drugs are like being struck by lightning. Along with losing consciousness, one completely bids farewell to this world. I am a man of my word. If I let you die today, you will never see the sun rise tomorrow. Tin Nanping said calmly. 2 simple moves and 2 notorious drug traffickers are instantly defeated. One side watched the 2 women, their hearts filled with fear. Though their emotions weren't particularly intense, now they had done what was natural. 1 person left. Zhao Qiannan strolled leisurely towards the villa's main hall. The 2 women thought for a moment, then decided to remain quietly waiting at the door. Inside the villa, drug lord Lei Yuanlong had obviously witnessed everything, and he was now utterly terrified. But he still wanted to live, so he forced himself to regain his composure. Chen Nan Dynasty, spare my life. Lei Yuanlong didn't want to die. He currently had over 10 billion in assets and continued, I'll transfer all the money in my Swiss bank account to you, and how about we split the profits 5-5? The Tern Dynasty's southern man people scoffed coldly, their voices filled with utter contempt. Lei Yuanlong was startled, feeling a chill run down his spine. He feared that Xiao Qiannan might casually throw a punch at him. How do we divide it into 3-7? You get 7, I get 3. The Tern Nam Dynasty official remained silent, his handsome face bearing an expression that was neither a smile nor a frown. A 9/10 split here. You get 9 and I get 1. Lei Yuanlong's whole body tensed, the fear in his heart growing stronger and stronger. And he hurriedly said, all the profit belongs to you. All the profit belongs to you. He's practically going insane right now. Finish talking, no last words. I'll send you on your way. Unmoved by the drug lord's conditions, Xiao Qiannan's expression remained unchanged. No, brother Nan, brother Nan. Lei Yuanlong knelt down, his pupils involuntarily contracting, his lips trembling as he said, Men Qingshan, your former superior, he's been promoted now. Upon hearing these words, Tern Nam's eyes trembled. In his previous life, it was this very person who betrayed him, causing him such a tragic fate. This person must be killed. He's now a provincial official. Lei Yuanlong's eyes were slightly vacant. Then he said in a calm voice, he's the director. He revealed everything he possessed and knew, all his secrets. But even now there's no hope of survival. He believed that by bringing in MDN Kinthian and using his official position to pressure him, Triutur Nam would be afraid of the consequences and let him go. So what then? Tern Nam looked at him nonchalantly with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. You? Lei Yuan's heart turned icy cold, his face filled with disbelief, completely dumbfounded. Don't worry, you'll meet each other underground very soon, Xiao Qiannan said, narrowing his eyes. It seems you, Tran Nam, really don't intend to let me off the hook, do you? Lei Yuanlong regained his composure at this moment. Because he was merely stalling for time, his greatest reliance now wasn't money or power, but the monster in the cave behind the mountain, the 20-meter-long black python. It had arrived. When Emperor Tran Nam noticed something unusual, he instinctively sensed a powerful creature approaching. At that moment, The two women standing at the villa's entrance suddenly had stern expressions because they discovered a huge python. This python was so enormous, coiled around a tree trunk with only its upper half visible. It was almost 10 meters long. What does 10 meters mean? It's like having 3 stories high. At this moment, Lin Yanting and Zhang Yuz both deeply realized how insignificant they were and felt a deep-seated fear. They wanted to warn Xiao Chenin, but this fear was so overwhelming that they dared not move. A serpent spirit, is it that terrifying? Initially stunned, Turn Nam couldn't help but chuckle, then slowly walked out of the villa. Lin Yijing and Zhang Yuzi, as if finding a mountain to lean on, ran towards Xiao Chennan, one on the left and one on the right, wrapping their arms around Xiao Chennan's. In an instant, Tran Nam felt a sensation in both his arms. Very natural, very comfortable. Well, this side is a bit bigger. It needs 2 hands. This side is a bit smaller. It still needs some development. The two beautiful girls had dark lines all over their faces. At this moment, they still have the presence of mind to think about such things. Triu Turn Nam, you're practically dead, yet you still dare to show off your skills in front of a beautiful woman? This python is no ordinary python. It's practically impervious to swords and spears. Lei Yuanlong, seizing a moment of leisure, rushed outside, leaning against something, and spoke venomously to Triu Turn Nam. What should we do now? Should we run away? Little lowly Zhang Yuz was clearly still not entirely at ease. The imperial sister Lin Yijing also made a decision without intending to, staring blankly at Xiao Chennan. Turn Nam gave a faint smile and said, "Finally, I can get some exercise and stretch my muscles. Don't disappoint me and make me want to leave." Having said that, he strode forward, braving the eerie wind, and headed towards the black serpent. Behind them, only Lin Yijing, Li Jianzhou, and Zhang Yuzi remained, their eyes filled with anticipation and faces full of infatuation. "Linya, you need to be more reserved. Try harder, try harder." The calm Linya struggled internally, but he's really handsome. "Sister Lin, you shouldn't try to steal this man from me. He's mine." Zhang Yuz couldn't help but whisper, but her face immediately flushed red. Given her personality, she would never say something like that. What's going on today? Turn Nam didn't pay attention to these minor details, narrowing his eyes to assess the situation. He guessed that this black python had approximately 100 years of cultivation, had generated a dark wind, and was no ordinary beast. Under normal circumstances, unless large-scale artillery was used, it would be very difficult to harm it. It was not a match for ordinary humans. What a pity that you've run into me today." The Turn Nam dynasty leader shook his head and sighed softly. But this giant python already possessed sentience. It was the true ruler of this forest, and yet this insignificant human dared to challenge it. You should know that in this forest, his face is unstoppable. Nothing can stop him. Before this, both the little tiger spirit and the crocodile spirit were destroyed by me. I'd say I wouldn't be scared even if I encountered that kind of blazing bamboo pipe. Right now, isn't it just a small matter for a tiny human being to stand before me? The black serpent was coiled up in the tree, waiting for an opportunity to strike. One must know that it had devoured countless humans. This young man was merely a handful to fill its teeth. Look at that disgusting appearance of yours, and you don't even care. Just wait until I devour you later, then you'll know what real suffering is. Seeing the two women beside him, Triu Turn Nam felt a shiver run down his spine. Although Triu Turn Nam had previously killed his way in and out of the drug lord's lair, he was still a human being. Now, the giant beast is truly on a completely different level from the poisonous drug-laced group that was previously controlled. They are like heaven and earth. The two women couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. It's slow to say, but it happens very quickly. The black python looked at the person in front of it with a seemingly indifferent expression, then immediately lowered its mouth and swallowed Xiao Chennan whole. The two women behind Trin Nam were both startled by this blow. They all cried out in unison, "Ahar!" At this moment, Lei Yuanlong let out a sinister laugh, knowing that this python's strength could be said to be equivalent to that of a grand general under its master. Dealing with you, this immature brat, wouldn't necessarily be a fatal blow. You should know that the black python's stomach acid can corrode gold. Just as the serpent was about to devour the remaining two women, it suddenly felt as if there was a hard, solid block of rock in its stomach. Impossible! Even if it were made of stone, the acidic gastric juices in my stomach could directly corrode it. While the serpent was still in astonishment, a beam of white light appeared inside its belly. This beam of white light was so dazzling that even the black python had to turn its head away. All we heard was a loud boom. The black python's belly was directly ripped open with a large hole. The blood mist erupted, truly raining blood down upon the heavens and earth. At that moment, a figure slowly collapsed to the ground, paralyzed, with a giant snake emerging from its belly. The surprise was the Southern Dynasty. During the Southern Tern Dynasty, I felt the same way. Killing the enemy was more meaningful. After all, simply slaughtering them would be too bland. Immediately afterward, he allowed the serpent to swallow him whole, then used the shockwave power to completely envelop his entire body. Then, using a shockwave of force, he expelled all the stomach contents. Under these circumstances, he emerged from the serpent's belly, yet his clothes remained dry and spotless. If we're just talking about killing, then it's simply not very impressive. The Tern dynasty also wanted to test once to see what level of control he had truly reached over his power. Therefore, he chose to enter the serpent's belly and then, through himself, develop another function of the vibrating fruit. This move possesses incredibly strong defensive capabilities. At this moment, Lei Yuanlong was on the verge of running away. He never imagined that Cao Chenin could possess such strength. If even his master's subordinate, the serpent, couldn't defeat him. Taking advantage of the moment when the python on the ground was in pain and retreating, Lei Yuanlong quickly lifted his feet and ran. After all, this was a life-or-death moment. If he was even a step slower, his life could be lost. Lei Yuanlong had followed his master for many years, but he had never before encountered a black serpent expert who could instantly kill him with a single blow like that. Previously, under the command of the black serpent, it could be said that no one could stand against the serpent. Lei Yuanlong had encountered people with such supernatural powers before, but those people were usually unable to even withstand the black serpent's yin wind, and were simply terrified into submission, then turned into the serpent's food. But how powerful was the Southern Tern dynasty ultimately? One blow and the serpent was defeated. All Lei Yuanlong could do now was pray that Cao Chenin wouldn't find him. But this is impossible. Triu Tern Nam held one woman in each arm, while his right and left hands each supported the buttocks of another woman, carrying them to a safe area. He smiled at the two of them. This smile was like a gentle spring breeze, a kind of yielding smile that made both Jingye and Zhang Yu's look foolish. Even if Cao Chenin were to lift their buttocks, they wouldn't pay any attention to it. Sister Lin, you really can't steal this man from me. He's so handsome. Zhang Yu's jumped up excitedly. She knew that a man with such masculine charm like Cao Chenin was exactly her ideal type. You have to understand how hard it is to find a man with such character these days, and those who are as decisive as him are even rarer. Fresh Flower Bridge 0. Although Jingye didn't say a word out loud, she was inwardly fluttering like a frightened deer, constantly telling herself to relax. But this man was simply too handsome. This time, the left side is still a bit bigger, but the right side still needs further development. Chen Nan smirked. Indeed, the two men gave him completely different impressions. But now the two women didn't care about any of that. They just felt this man was incredibly handsome and mischievous. The Tern dynasty leader turned his head and glanced behind him, where two infatuated women were laughing briefly. Facing the giant snake that was in agonizing pain, he directly wrapped a shockwave around his fist and aimed it at the snake spirit's head. With one punch, he unleashed waves of energy. These waves of energy directly struck the giant serpent's head, each wave slowly tearing away the serpent's skin and scales, eventually shattering its bones. And the final wave completely crushed the serpent's brain. This was a single punch of sheer physical strength that ended the life of this snake demon. At that moment, Nam took a few steps and caught up with Lai Long. "Don't run, Brother Lei, aren't you tired?" Nan looked at Lei Yunlong in front of him and said mockingly. Seeing that Xiao Nan had caught up, Lei Yunlong was so frightened that he collapsed to the ground. "Brother, I'm not human, I beg you. Please don't kill me." Lei Yunlong was still alive, and he was willing to do anything. Nam sneered contemptuously. "Who do you think you are? Why didn't you say anything when you tried to kill me?" Without hesitation, Jiao Nan directly punched Lei Yunlong in the stomach. Jiao Nan's punch pierced directly through Lei Yunlong's back, and under the control of the shockwave, his arm and clothes did not come into any contact with Lei Yunlong's flesh and blood. Lei Yunlong's face was filled with terror, as if he couldn't believe this was his end. The result was that he died at the hands of another already deceased miner. You just wait, Master will avenge me." Lei Yunlong, still spitting out bleeding edge, uttered many vicious words, but Qiu Chenin remained indifferent and unmoved. At that moment, a cloud of black smoke suddenly rose from the body of Lei Yunlong. Deep within the 10,000 great mountains, a cloud of black smoke, like a ghostly apparition, simultaneously appeared, drifting everywhere. "It's all over." You should know that the Southern Dynasty had been waiting for this moment because his hatred had never been satisfied. Only when he saw the enemy die with eyes filled with countless fears and hatred could he find a momentary peace in the stone. But the burden in his heart was not yet completely lifted because at Ji, there was still a superior who had betrayed him. It must be known that Nam, deep down, was trembling with fear while ambushing the drug lord within the organization. And yet, just as the final raid was about to begin, he himself was directly killed by Lei Yuan Longshang. Even Nam, who was considered a pirate in the world, was still wondering why he had been discovered, until Lei Yuanlang's words, spoken during the brief pause, truly shocked him. "It turns out it was my superior, Meng Qingshan, who betrayed me." Jingyu Forest and Jiang Wuzi, her two best friends, were terrified on the sidelines. One must know that the Southern Dynasty's killing of this giant python was incredibly powerful. Its scales were practically impervious to swords and spears, yet Emperor Nan simply used one punch to blast the head of this black python to pieces. Although the person who said they were two lost students in Jingyu Forest claimed they were just lost. Anyone with a bit of common sense would know why students would come all the way to such a remote mountain area. Even the tranquil forest was astonished by the strength of this giant python, as if it were a celestial being. Even if my uncle had to handle it, it would have taken far more effort, yet this man before me killed this snake demon with a single punch from a distance. Not to mention that before he was swallowed whole by the serpent demon, nothing happened to him at all. This person is truly unfathomable and, moreover, somewhat devious. The tranquil forest returned to its place on the warm buttocks, as if the hand of the Southern Dynasty were right there. She couldn't help but blush with embarrassment. But given the current situation, Emperor Nan didn't have much time or inclination to attend to his personal feelings for women. My revenge is still pending. This is a betrayal of my own family. And who knows how many brothers have been betrayed by this disgusting, self-serving individual. The Southern Dynasty must make him pay with his own blood. Thinking this, Jingyu Forest and Jiang Wuzi, these two women, still had to be taken out of the mountains. Anyway, I rescued the girls, and the culprit is a high-ranking official. On this side, the drug lords group left no one alive, so MDN couldn't possibly have known about this news in a short time. After all, who would believe that the dead can come back to life? Na Forest and Trong Vieters prepared to go into the forest with Triu Nam. Na touched her long hair and said, "Maybe we don't know the way out. You know, this is the 10,000 Great Mountains, even though it's just the edge of the land. if we don't have a guide? How are we supposed to get out? If only I had known earlier, I could have left one person alive. Humph. A bunch of disgusting men, like a repulsive toad trying to devour a swan. Luckily, a Prince Charming came to save me. Zhang Yu was also extremely distressed upon hearing what Jingya said. At this moment, Emperor Turnam smiled and said, "Want to go outside?" It's very simple, but you just need to cooperate a little. Both women had an inexplicable premonition in their hearts, but since they had to go out, there was no other way. Just get us out of here. I'll do anything you ask. Zhang Yu looked very innocent, but his words were full of ulterior motives. Besides, you're so handsome. I won't lose anything. Lin Qingmiyabi's root ears are all red. But Chen Nan could only laugh awkwardly because that wasn't his intention at all, and he'd been misunderstood. It seems Zhang Yu really is a bit dirty. Of course not. Just wait a moment. You can all sit comfortably in my arms, just like before. Chen Nan was somewhat speechless. Huh? Zhang Yu hadn't even had time to react. In an instant, Chen Nan leapt up, reaching a height of at least 20 meters. The ground was shaken up by this surge of power, sending up dust that caused the two sisters below to choke and cough incessantly. Not long after, Chao Chen Nan returned, but this time he controlled his position, avoiding landing near the two sisters, as the shockwave could easily injure them. Of course, such physical abilities are truly terrifying. How many new world high jump records have been set? With just one jump, Tren Nam could leap several times higher. It's definitely a monster. Although Zhang Wuj and Jingya's arrival was quite surprising, such physical fitness is practically impossible to find in real life. With the momentum from a fall of just 20 meters, the impact on a human body can crush all of its internal organs. But this man didn't even breathe heavily for a moment. Although Jingya Forest had encountered many such matters at home, this was the first time she had ever met someone as powerful as Chao Chen Nan. Could he be a body imposter? When Lin Qingmiyabi was a child, she had heard her grandfather mention such people, but only vaguely. Could Chao Chen Nan be a body imposter? It's still not high enough. Although Chao Chen Nan jumped more than 20 meters is not considered very high in this mountain range. You guys wait here for me. I'll jump a little higher, otherwise I won't be able to see anything at all. Although Chen Nan is now arguably the most invincible being in the world, he doesn't possess clairvoyance. Right after that, startled again, he jumped, gathering his strength, causing the damp ground to ripple into a small basin. The Tern Dynasty's Southern Dynasty directly soared over 100 meters into the air. Such verification makes many things immediately clear. The Tern Dynasty's Southern Emperor used a shockwave of force to create a foothold right beneath his feet. The ground rumbled beneath their feet, but it didn't hinder the Southern Dynasty's observation of the direction in the slightest. Tern Nam looked north, clenching his fist. MDN Kinthian, you just wait for me. North is G, reducing the direction. Very quickly, Triu Tern Nam knew the general direction to leave the mountain, and then he slowly descended. Boom! The earthquake-like tremor spread far, scaring even the inexperienced hunters in the forest away. Let's go! I know the way, Chao Chen Nan said to the two sisters. At this moment, he noticed that the left pocket of Lin Qingmiyabi's jacket seemed to contain many things, making it look bulky and cumbersome. But Chao Chen Nan didn't care at all. After all, it was someone else's property, and it wasn't his business. Besides, in this world, Chao Chen Nan was unrivaled. At this moment, Lin Qing's heart was pounding, one could say, like a battle cry. Anyway, this man, despite being handsome, is truly too powerful. He can jump over 100 meters in a single leap. This is no ordinary human being. At this moment, Triu Tern Nam, with his right arm around Lam Then Miyabi and his left arm around Trong Vieters, directly jumped to gain momentum. One jump covers several hundred meters. Min Qingshan, just you wait. In just about 10 minutes, Triu Turnam and his group of 3 had reached the 10,000 Great Mountains. Knowing his current state, even if Chen Nan were to travel continuously for 10 days and 10 nights, he wouldn't get tired. Compared to pirates in the human world, these poison merchants are definitely just a bunch of low-ranking sailors working on merchant ships. And the Turnam dynasty is none other than the legendary Whitebeard. Stand alongside Pirate King Roger. During those brief 10 minutes, the 3 of them exchanged a few simple words, at least learning each other's names. Having seen that the 10,000 Great Mountains have been cleared, it can now be said that parting ways is imminent. "Brother Nam, where are you going now?" Zhang Yu's asked hastily. Anyway, if she wanted to say goodbye now, Zhang Yu's at least wanted to know where Chou Chenin was going, because she had never met such a skilled and manly man before. 270. Although Zhang Yu's was described as open-minded, he was the first person to make her feel this way. Chou Chenin was still the first. Although Jingya pretended not to care, she was actually very interested at the moment. After all, she was curious about such a handsome and powerful man. Normally, Jingya Forest gives off the impression of being a domineering older sister, but in front of this man, she couldn't control herself. "I want to go to Ji to relieve some stress. There are still a few things that need to be dealt with there." Zhao Chen-nan, still holding the 2 women without letting go, now gave a faint smile. Zhang Wood shouted loudly, "We just happened to be going back to eat to reduce the burden. Isn't this conveniently on our way?" Reflecting on it, Turnam thought that he being reduced right next to Ji being reduced, and traveling with these 2 completely different and interesting women, could still be considered a fascinating experience. But what exactly is going on, Brother Nan? There aren't many things in this world that could trouble you, are there? Although it wasn't very polite, Lin Jingya was still very concerned about what was happening to Chen Nan. Although the 2 of them weren't actually captured by the poisoners, relying on themselves and Zhang Yu's certainty was enough to defeat the giant snake. Therefore, this debt of gratitude must remain, and if we can lend a hand, we must do so. In any case, the Lin family's influence extends throughout the country, and in China, the Lin family can be said to be a truly prestigious family. This is a long story. For the first time, Lin Jingya saw hatred on Chou Chenin's face. Turnam told the 2 women his story, but presented himself as one of their close friends, so it didn't attract their attention. Men Qingshan, Men Qingshan. Zhang Wood kept muttering this name to himself. The forest was tranquil, but deep down, he knew this person was real. "Brother, let me tell you the truth. I'm actually from the Lin family of China, and I came to Miaozhang this time to explore the terrain." After hesitating for a while, Lin Jingya decided to completely deny everything. Turnam was slightly skeptical. What kind of image? Recently, many villains have been committing heinous acts in this Miao region, leaving behind traces of evil. "We, representing each clan, have come to investigate what exactly is happening here." Zhang Yu's expression was gloomy. "You should know that this place is extremely chaotic, and the family members here have lost contact. Let's not talk about these things." Jingya interrupted the topic, believing that with Chen Nan's intelligence, he would surely understand their intentions. "This Min Qingshan is actually something our family is also keeping an eye on," Lin Jingya said, eager to help. Turnam was slightly surprised. Oh, regardless of what these 2 women intended to do in the mountains, it actually had nothing to do with Chou Chen-nan, since Chou Chen-nan's own strength was enough to crush anything. He wasn't afraid. Therefore, when it came to the Jingya forest, he didn't pay much attention to the things mentioned earlier. But when it came to Men Qingshan, Chen-nan's spirits lifted, because this scoundrel deserved to die without a burial place. Quiet Force lowered his voice and said, "This person is actually..." 3 days later, having just finished a conference, MDN Ken felt a great sense of helplessness, even though he had risked his life here for decades. The thought that all his glory could be lost in a single misstep made him feel utterly disheartened. Who wouldn't want to be part of the prophets anyway? He shook his head. And just then, the phone on his desk rang. Clang, clang, clang. Although he was very tired, he didn't dare to delay even a little, quickly standing up to answer the phone. MDN Kinthian. A voice filled with clenched teeth came through the phone. For some unknown reason, MDN Kinthian felt a sudden chill down his spine, as if a wave of murderous intent was about to pierce through the phone and stab him in the temple. "Who are you?" MDN Kinthian asked cautiously. The voice on the phone replied, "Me, ha ha ha, I'm a ghost." Although MDN Kinthian knew that this world was full of supernatural occurrences, he had never actually heard of ghosts. It seems like it's another case of someone with nothing better to do, offending the police station and playing a prank on a minor with no job. A moment of fear and anxiety. Seriously, how could the secretary outside possibly answer this kind of phone call? "Don't you dare go crazy. Go back to your house and suck on your mother's milk." MDN Kinthian retorted angrily. "You will die today." The person on the phone sounded like a real demon. Those 7 simple words were like a death curse, sending chills down Min King's spine. MDN Kinthian also possessed some strength. Even if a typical teenager caused trouble, they wouldn't be able to harm him. So whether out of disgust or fear, he simply hung up the phone. He didn't know, but he really wanted to be torn apart by a demon that had returned from another world. Before long, MDN Kin was granted the title of Emperor of the state, and naturally, as a high-ranking official, he was assigned a driver. Just as MDN Kin was arriving at his villa, he suddenly noticed someone standing on the path leading to his house. A hint of malice flashed in MDN Khan's eyes. He patted the driver's seat and said fiercely, "Just ram into it." For some reason, the driver didn't seem bothered by this kind of situation at all and immediately slammed his foot all the way down on the gas pedal. The engine hummed, indicating this car had 10 horsepower. In just 5 or 6 seconds, the imposing 3.5-liter car accelerated to over 100 kilometers per hour. "Haha, look at you now." Min King's chariot, which looked like an ordinary limousine, was actually a specially modified bulletproof vehicle. Despite its imposing and luxurious appearance, it actually weighs a whopping 4 tons. 4 tons heavier than an armored vehicle traveling at a speed of 180 kilometers per hour or less would blow even a rhinoceros away. As MDN Khan's gaze grew closer, he carefully observed the person standing at his doorstep. Although still somewhat distant, he could tell it was a young man. "Haha, will the Restoration Society take revenge on me?" Let you taste the feeling of soaring through the sky. Min King's heart was filled with immense joy. Anyway, after months of relentlessly working back and forth, I've been harboring resentment that I can't get rid of, and now I've just stumbled upon a jinx. "Die, you wretched brat! You're dead." MDN Kinthian chuckled sinisterly, like an old fox. 10 meters, 5 meters, 1 meter. Boom! In a situation that had never occurred before, MDN Kinthian thought he would be directly blown away. But this young man, using only his right hand, stopped the entire impact of the bulletproof vehicle. Because of the impact of this ancient force, MDN Kin and the driver were directly thrown around twice inside the car. MDN Kinthian immediately became alert. His professional sense of smell made him highly vigilant. This person is definitely not an ordinary individual. How did he manage to stop the bulletproof car from crashing through? Looking closely, MDN Kin noticed that the young man in front of the car seemed familiar. He felt like he knew this person, but he couldn't quite remember. "Who are you?" MDN Kinthian asked directly. "I am the 20th demon." Turn Namtrak shouted directly. Only then did MDN Kin realize that the person who had called him that morning was this young man. However, this car of mine has been specially modified. Even a medium-dose C4 grenade thrown from the outside wouldn't damage it. This is exactly how MDN Kinthian relied on his life-saving artifact. From the moment he saw it, Emperor Tren Nam knew this car was no ordinary vehicle. He used his right hand to forcefully press on the engine, resulting in a large handprint appearing directly on top. It doesn't seem like anything serious. The driver was extremely frightened when he saw Tran Nam bring this bulletproof car to a halt, but he was also very reassured because this bulletproof car could withstand an RPG attack. The new Tran Nam didn't bother with any of that. He directly hailed a car, and in an instant, using both hands, he tore the bulletproof vehicle apart from the middle. The sound of tearing metal echoed throughout this villa complex. Man Kinthian lay on the ground, his hands covering his head, shouting, "Help! Help!" But strangely enough, he was speaking Japanese. At that moment, 4 people suddenly appeared around Tran Nam. 4 people dressed in ninja costumes. The ninja of the land of the rising sun. While working at a national government agency, Tran Nam had heard that the powerful state was carrying out some secret actions against China. It seems that MDN Kinthian is one of them. These 4 fake rings stood in the 4 corners, silently observing Xiao Chennan before them. In the cold weather, MDN Kin chuckled a few times, completely devoid of his earlier intimidating demeanor. Who do you think you are? We Holy Kingdom ninjas are masters who inherited the Zhang family's techniques from that era. Indeed, the 4 ninjas accompanying MDN Kinthian were powerful members of the Miyamoto clan. In their ninja lives, they had killed countless people, whether high-ranking officials or ordinary citizens. Under their hands, life was like grass. Any life they could obtain was enough. And during his reign, MDN Kinthian used them to eliminate countless of his enemies. Not once did it fail. MDN Kin chuckled inwardly, no matter who you are, you'll all die here today. Suddenly, the ninjas simultaneously threw shurikens from their hands. While the shurikens were still in midair, the 4 ninjas had already thrust their poison-coated ninja blades towards Xiao Chennan's body. But the Southern Dynasty also remained motionless. Ah, an amateur! A ninja muttered to himself. Ding, 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 ding. All 4 ninja were shocked. The ninja sword had finally reached its target, and the golden stone finally responded with a resounding clang. The blade, even in the face of a man's flesh, couldn't pierce a single hair. Tran Nam still wondered what kind of tricks these powerful ninjas could possibly pull off. As a result, even my most basic armament hockey couldn't break through the void. But the Southern Dynasty's Turn Dynasty only activated 3,000ths of its armament hockey. At this moment, the 4 kunai had all struck Xiao Chennan's body one after another, but they still only made 4 ding-ding-ding-kang sounds. The black kunai scattered haphazardly, falling helplessly to the ground. The 4 ninjas were secretly startled. Miyamoto's ninja sword could cut through iron as easily as mud. And those 4 powerful kunai could even directly penetrate rock. Even this man's skin is now so rough that it can't be scratched. The Tran Nam clan leader chuckled briefly, wanting to make it clear that he wasn't someone easily intimidated. At this moment, the 4 fake rings had been retrieved from their bodies, but they were still very close to Xiao Chennan FBI. Having lost interest in playing games, Tran Nam directly used his true power, causing the surrounding air to vibrate at a speed of 833. The air currents were like countless spinning, sharp blades, cutting the 4 ninjas into a bloody mess. MDN Kinthian was so frightened he almost wet his pants and immediately stumbled and ran in the opposite direction. Before this, he had been hoping that these 4 ninjas would come and take him away. But now it seems these 4 powerful members of the Miyamoto family can't defeat this young man. Before long, the bodies of all 4 ninja were about to explode. Their flesh and blood, tattered clothes, and weapons were all reduced to dust by the shockwave that cut through the air. During the Southern Dynasty, while focusing on controlling the force, these blood, flesh, and powder mixtures were trapped and vibrated in the air. The air turbulence formed 4 air bubbles. The spaceship inside contained everything these 4 ninjas were wearing. Waiting until the moment when Tran Nam dispelled his abilities, the 4 air balloons also dispersed. The 4 lumps of flesh and blood immediately fell onto the grass like 4 piles of crumbled mud. This is the ultimate fate of the 4 powerful members of the Miyamoto family. They didn't even have a chance to escape. They were instantly killed. This is a true powerhouse. One underlying idea was that it was possible to harvest the lives of weaker individuals. In a single leap, Qiao Chennan covered over 10 meters, heading straight towards Meng Qingtia, who was still running and hadn't yet realized Qiao Chennan had arrived. The Turnam dynasty captured MDN outside the sky, and in an instant, they grabbed him and dragged him, causing him to fall and collapse. "You, who exactly are you?" MDN Kinthian spat out two teeth, his mouth full of blood. Looking at the scene, it was incredibly chaotic. Where was the usual dignified and imposing police chief now? Looking back now, it's like a dog falling into the water. Turnam sneered contemptuously, "Do you still remember me?" Although MDN was usually very busy, his memory was actually incredibly sharp. Because he wanted to seamlessly transition between his daily work at the Chinese police force and his espionage activities with China. The person standing before him made a strong impression, but Meng Qingzhen still couldn't remember who he was. Seeing the terrified and helpless expression on Meng Qing's face, the hatred in Chen Nan's heart actually diminished. Anyway, in the pirate world, he's faced far too many truly powerful enemies. But a weakling like MDN Kinthian isn't worth his hatred. Turnam laughed. "Do you remember? There's a special agent with the title 007. MDN Kinthian suddenly woke up to Satori. You're still not dead?" MDN Kinthian is currently in China participating in an operation, specifically negotiating with the former agent known as 007. He learned about this agent's background through his work. Then they handed over the drug lord to the leader as a result. But now a demon has returned to find him. "Do you think so? Actually, I didn't die, and I've become stronger." Chen Nan, one could say, harbored deep resentment towards the betrayal of his family because he was confident that he wouldn't reveal any weaknesses. The situation for MDN Kinthian was now beyond redemption. Don't think that you alone can stir up any trouble. Remember, our holy kingdom has countless masters. Turnam felt that this old fellow had a problem with his brain. You keep mentioning your holy kingdom, acting as if you're from a powerful nation. You're a degenerate Chinese. MDN Kinthian chuckled. "I really am a citizen of the I Kingdom. I just grew up on this land." Taking it, he sneered again. "Don't think you can stop us when we act. We've already poured our resources into you." At this moment, many onlookers rushed forward, knowing that this villa was only affordable to people of high status and prestige. Having money alone is not enough to buy a villa here, so it's safe to say that among the onlookers, many are people holding first-level positions. But now, people here are arguing loudly about it. Turnam grabbed MDN Kinthian's fingertips, and MDN Kinthian screamed in agony. "Ah!" Turnam angrily said, "Tell them, what exactly have you been doing in China?" Seeing that MDN Kinthian was not prepared to back down, he remained silent, not saying a word. But since the Southern Dynasty had a way to deal with him, the Southern Dynasty unleashed its full power, directly using chakras to shake Meng Qing's celestial organ. "Tell me and I'll finish you off, otherwise I'll make you suffer for 3 days and 3 nights. Even MDN Kinthian couldn't bear this kind of suffering and cried out in anguish, "Our I Kingdom is carrying out a spying plan in China. I am one of them. The higher powers want us to use drugs to destroy the will of the Chinese people and move Chinese assets away. That's why I'm protecting the drug lords on the Miao border. In reality, they're making deals with the Japanese. We are here to destroy the will of the Chinese people and then spread drugs. Now is the crucial moment for us to act. Could it be that you are the one who killed Lei Yunlong?" Only then did MDN Kinthian realize the truth about Satori. After all, they had always been baffled as to why Lei Yunlong had suddenly lost contact 3 days ago. But now all the illusions have been revealed. It's that young man standing right in front of me. At that moment, MDN Kinthian's mobile phone rang in his pocket. Ding, ding, ding. Turnam took his mobile phone out of his pocket, but he didn't answer the call immediately. Turnam turned his head and glanced at the driver who had hit him. He was now so frightened he almost wet himself, paralyzed and slumped in his seat, trembling uncontrollably. A finger shot out. Another life was lost. Seeing that the number on his mobile phone was unknown, Trieu Nam still answered the call. Western Star, Western Star. A million good coins. The Southern Dynasty official thought he had learned relatively well, but the person opposite him didn't seem to think so. Who are you? Then it seemed like that person had decided not to contact them again and simply hung up the phone. Nam was very surprised. It seemed that MDN Kintheon had more than just a few lives on his hands. Regardless of whether these 4 Japanese ninjas were the actions he had spoken of before his death, all of them were terrifying. If it's true that the powerful nation's spies have infiltrated China, then the consequences would be unimaginable. At this very moment, Nam True found an audio recording in Man Kintheon's mobile phone. The recording in the main content reveals that there are many spies hiding in China. The recordings in the main content reveal that many spies are hiding in China. Well done! A voice rang out from the crowd. This voice could be described as extraordinarily solemn, that kind of dignified military tone. A middle-aged man strolled leisurely towards Chao Chen-nan, followed by 2 very young-looking youths. Well done! This middle-aged man said something like that to express his admiration for Chao Chen-nan. He approached and carefully observed Trieu Nam, a talented young man. Nam looked at this person and found him very familiar. After thinking carefully, he realized he had seen this person before in the Special Forces organization. At that time, this person was there to inspect the training status of the Special Forces organization. Even the Chinese Special Forces unit, numbering 753, would have to bow and nod to this man. This middle-aged man is definitely not a simple person. The middle-aged man lit a cigarette, and at that moment, a young man behind him hesitantly said, "Commander, sir." The middle-aged man waved his hand dismissively. "It's nothing. It's been a long time since I've been this happy. It's a bit of a thrill to indulge in it once in a while." The middle-aged man looked at Chao Chen-nan. The Tern dynasty in the south received this one hand in the smoke. Don't kill him yet. He's still useful. Looking at his appearance, I don't know what methods he used to get into this department head position. He's really incompetent. The middle-aged man's words immediately filled the air with a serious atmosphere. Although Emperor Nam knew that sparing MDN Kintheon's life was a greater contribution to the nation, he still used his full strength to shatter his vital organs. He has 3 more days to live, but he will live in agony, worse than death. The middle-aged man chuckled. Vicious. I like it. The Tern dynasty's Southern dynasty officials sneered contemptuously. Come here, let's talk inside my house. The middle-aged man made a proposition to Chao Chen-nan. Naturally, Emperor Nam would not refuse. After all, it was this land of China that gave birth to him and raised him. In his previous life, he sacrificed his life for the country, and now that no one can threaten his life, he will not tolerate any threat to the Chinese people. Upon arriving at the middle-aged man's house, Chao Chen-nan chatted with him for a while and learned that this middle-aged man was none other than the legendary General Yang. If General Yang's entire life were to be written into a book, it would probably take thousands of pages and still not be enough. Everyone only truly understood General Yang's character after he reached middle age. But before that, General Yang had always remained in the shadows, silently and selflessly serving the Hua kingdom. General Yang, how are you? It's true that seeing is believing. Chen-nan had always dreamed of being like General Yang, so in a sense, General Yang was his idol. General Yang and General Nam shook hands. You probably know why I invited you here. The Southern Tern dynasty naturally also knew Kate and said, is this to deal with the powerful nation? General Yang sighed deeply. Alas, look at the state of our China now. With over 1 billion people, heinous crimes occur every day. In these matters, it's not just about drugs, arms smuggling, and group poisoning incidents, etc. Many of the spies in this country hold high positions of power. They not only steal intelligence, but also want to use various means to dismantle China. But the HUA kingdom has a vast empire and a huge territory. At this moment, there's no better solution than to investigate the source. Fortunately, these people can be said to have relatively low willpower, one grab, one catch. And MDN Kinthian is the target we've had our eye on for a long time. Therefore, under these circumstances, in order to resist the spies of other countries lurking within our China, I will lead the establishment of our own China-based superpower organization. Let's call it the Ninth Bureau. We've witnessed your true strength today. You could say you're the best in the world, absolutely. Tearing apart an armored vehicle with your bare hands, or rather, killing people, this truly shocked me. I've never seen a master like you before. General Yang was practically glued to the shop, and Emperor Chen Nan knew exactly what he meant. General Yang said, however, a master like you must be very frustrated by being constrained. Chen Nan nodded. After all, he was already the champion of the world. But regarding the matter of resisting the I Kingdom, even if General Yang hadn't said anything, he would naturally go to help the HUA Kingdom. And it was precisely this unnatural feeling that Chen Nan was worried about. If you join an organization, it will inevitably entail certain obligations to a greater or lesser extent. However, it seems General Yang has a good eye for people. His direct remark struck a nerve in Xiao Chen Nan's heart. General Yang smiled and took a medal from his shirt pocket. This is our Ninth Bureau's honorary medal. As long as you wear this medal, it means you can freely enter and exit our country and hold any event you like. And when a portion of the armed forces also obey your command, as long as you don't do anything wrong, they will all help you. After saying that, General Yang casually tossed the medal he was holding to Xiao Chen Nan. It looked very casual, but in reality, his arm was very steady, and the force he used was very precise. After saying that, General Yang casually tossed the medal he was holding to Xiao Chen Nan. It looked very casual, but in reality, his arm was very steady, and the force he used was very precise. The Southern dynasty naturally followed suit. After all, this represented a kind of honor. In his previous life, he had no honor. In this life, the entire nation of China will provide for him. General Yang looked at Chen Nan with a joyful expression, knowing he hadn't misjudged him. You've only just begun your journey to glory, good boy. As long as you help us resist the I Kingdom, the whole country, and even the whole world, will know of your contributions. Chen Nan smiled and said, "Thank you, General Yang, for your appreciation." This humble and incompetent young man is truly ashamed to receive such a special honor. Knowing this, General Yang sighed. The affairs of the Wei Kingdom are becoming increasingly difficult to resolve. Although it's not that you didn't join us, we still hope you can live up to everyone's expectations. Chen Nan nodded. Rest assured. After leaving General Yang's house, Emperor Chen Nan returned to the Tinna forest to prepare himself in his room. This was also a villa, and although it was said to be a very large and luxuriously renovated house, only Xiao Chen Nan lived there, so it felt empty. Throughout his life, due to the unique nature of his work, Chen Nan never married. After all, life here is full of swords and bloodshed. If you take one wrong step one day, you could very well fall into the abyss of Banju and lose your life. If you say you have family to talk to, it's not just about having ties. If something happens, there's no one to take care of you. The Chen Nan dynasty couldn't help but feel a little lonely. Looking out the window onto the avenue, a mother was pushing a stroller with her husband, chatting and laughing together. An aunt was raising a golden retriever, happily taking it out for a walk. The Chen Nan dynasty decided that if he had enough strength, he would protect his beloved. He's determined to build a home for himself in his lifetime. As true Chen Nan was preparing to lie down to rest, his cell phone in his trouser pocket began to vibrate. He glanced at the incoming caller ID and was surprised to see it was from Jingya Forest. I wonder what matter brings them to Jingya Forest to seek him out. Triu Turnam answered the phone. Hey, Ten Na. From the other end of the phone came the sound of sobbing in Jingya Forest. Brother Nan, Wuzi, Wuzi. Upon hearing this, Emperor Turnam immediately sensed something was amiss, and then he calmly said, "It's nothing. Just tell me slowly. Don't get angry. Didn't we go to Miaozhang to explore before?" Then, several people in our family with relatively deep cultivation were preparing to return to collect the scales from the snake spirit's body to use as materials for crafting magical artifacts. Ling Jingya slowly regained her composure. As a result, Wuzi volunteered to guide them, and who knew they're now unreachable? Turn Nam pondered for a moment, realizing that the black smoke emanating from Lei Yuan's dragon body was indeed not a normal phenomenon. However, Zhang Yu's is currently unreachable. If that's the case, with the 10,000 great mountains being so vast, where could they possibly find them? It's all right. You don't need to rush. I'm here. Qiao Chen Nan quickly reassured him. Jingya Force said, however, our family is connected by blood, so we can roughly know Zi's direction by using secret techniques. I have a strong feeling that the giant python might not be an independent spirit creature. It's quite possible its owner happened to encounter Wuzi and his group while retrieving it. After thinking it over carefully, Tran Nam realized that the analysis of the Tin Na forest was indeed quite reasonable. But right now, the most important thing is Zhang Wuji's life. This shouldn't be delayed. I'll set off immediately, Chen Nan said, and immediately acted. He knew he had easily killed that giant python. So what if the serpent spirit master arrived now? If one punch doesn't kill, then two. Ten Na Force said, "Take me up, Brother Nam." Otherwise, how would you find them in the 10,000 great mountains? Turn Nam said, "Let's meet right here at the entrance to the 10,000 great mountains." Okay. Although Jingya Forest was also very concerned about Zhang Wuzi, he was currently much more interested in Xiao Chen Nan. If it had happened to me, and not Wuzi, would he still be so anxious? This was the first time in her life that Ling Jingya had thought this way. For 2 consecutive days, every evening in the Tran Na forest, she would dream of true Tran Nam. From beginning to end, Jingya could never forget that domineering yet handsome face. Even more unforgettable was his unrestrained, wild demeanor when facing his enemies. This is the true taste of love. Although Tenno was deeply saddened at the moment, the thought of seeing Triu turn Nam made her feel less distressed. Deep within the 10,000 Great Mountains. This place is deep within the 10,000 Great Mountains, an underground palace of martial arts. This is the place where black smoke emanated just before Lei Yunlong died. This underground palace, built by Wu, can be said to be very luxurious. Although a little small, it has everything one could need. But now, this place was indeed filled with the screams of a young woman, "Let us down. You son of a bitch, if my boyfriend finds out, he'll definitely punch you to death." But now, this place was indeed filled with the screams of a young woman, "Let us down. You son of a bitch, if my boyfriend finds out, he'll definitely punch you to death. My boyfriend is coming up here on the 7-colored cloud. He'll beat you to death with one blow. Only cowardly demons will be used. Originally, when Zhang Wuji and his group returned to the drug lord's base and had just finished removing all the snakes from the man's body, a strange white mist drifted over. This type of fog is extremely thick and viscous, and if you come into contact with it, your whole body will become weak, and you won't be able to circulate your internal energy. Zhang Wuji and his group were ultimately stunned and disoriented by a thick green mist. Upon regaining consciousness, he discovered that he and the other 4 elders of the clan were hanging from the rafters of a pitch-black palace. Their dancing felt as if all the water had been drained from it, and the vital energy in their bodies seemed to have been completely drained. Zhang Wuji and I had no way to escape either. They were both directly bound hand and foot with a rope and hung from the palace's ridge beam, and that thread seemed to be able to drain the vital energy from their bodies. Everyone failed to utilize their full potential. This is understandable. The poison was incredibly insidious and perfectly suited to counteract Zhang Yu's and his group's abilities. Although there was no way to escape this poison, as it was being cultivated, didn't seem to have any intention of killing them. Anyway, in this era, those who could still cultivate were basically all members of a family or sect. If they were just ordinary people, they definitely wouldn't be able to continue cultivating. But once this poison is cured, it's as if he's practicing asceticism alone. It seems that this person is anything but simple. You should conserve your strength. Wait until I've perfected my heart-devouring powder, then I'll use you all as test subjects. This poison's true nature has finally been revealed. Although Zhang Yu had been scolding him earlier, he was at a crucial moment in his poison refining process. The most important step had already been completed, and now he only needed to ensure the fire temperature was maintained. Zhang Kan then came out to check if these people were causing any trouble. However, it seems that the vital energy of these people was absorbed by the immortals through the teachings passed down to them by their master. This allows immortals to absorb the cultivation energy from others. Although they cannot utilize this energy for their own purposes, it is still extremely useful. The arrested man, Zhang Wu's, who is a practitioner of poison, is 50 years old this year and his name is Zhang Kan. Previously, he was devoted to cultivating alongside his master, but now his master has gone to the city to teach younger generations, leaving him alone to look after the mountain sect. Although Zhang Kan said it had been a long time since he had seen a woman, he had lost interest in women. 20 years ago, during the time of alchemy, Zhang Kan was not yet able to control the temperature well. The furnace exploded, and the boiling poisonous ingredients flashed onto Zhang Kan's crotch, poisoning his private parts. From then on, he devoted all his attention and energy to the art of concocting poisons. Therefore, he was also the disciple his master valued the most. Zhang Kan glared at Zhang Yu and said fiercely, "You wretched woman! Can't you watch your mouth? It's like you've eaten walls." Zhang Kan rushed around for half a day, sweating profusely only to find himself immediately hearing Mihari Yu's cursing him. How could he possibly tolerate that? "Ha ha, you evil devil, you only know how to use insidious tricks. If you have the guts, fight me head on, let's see if I can't kill you." Zhang Yu was incredibly brave. After all, I am a cultivator, and although I haven't cultivated for many years, I am still considered outstanding among my peers. In this situation, she has no other choice but to verbally agree to something. In any case, what the righteous cultivators hate most is this kind of solitary cultivation. Zhang Kan, on the other hand, laughed like an old cat. "Ha ha ho. Just you, let's see if you can survive another 100 years. Aside from the poison, Zhang Kan's strength was considered quite good in his master's eyes. After all, his master had lived to be 120 years old thanks to consuming numerous longevity-enhancing elixirs. This is also the reason why Zhang Kan was so dedicated to researching and refining medicinal pills. "Haha, you're still afraid to speak up if my boyfriend comes looking for you. You rotten old man, just wait to die." Zhang Yu said fiercely, but she was already a little dehydrated. Her lips were dry and cracked, almost bleeding. Zhang Kan snorted coldly, "HMPH, just you little brats. I don't even need poison. A few puppets are enough to kill you. Besides," Zhang Yu's eyebrows twitched slightly. "Besides what? Again, you'll all die, no matter what." Zhang Kan felt no fear at all, even if his opponents were stronger. He wouldn't be afraid, because his master had given him a backup plan. Zhang Kan was the master's most beloved disciple, and he taught him all the methods of using the sect's most deadly weapons. Zhang Kan was also filled with fear after learning about this powerful weapon. No one can defeat this ultimate weapon. Zhang Kan believed that. At this moment, Triu Turn Nam used the shockwave of energy in the air to create a violent air current, accelerating himself rapidly. He traveled at such speed that in an instant, he had arrived at the entrance to the 10,000 Great Mountains. And just as the Southern Tern dynasty was approaching, a spirit ship also arrived. And just as the Southern dynasty was approaching, a spirit ship also arrived. On the boat were a man and a woman, and the woman was none other than Jingya Forest. Brother Nam, this is my uncle. For some reason, Lin Jingya felt a little nervous when introducing her uncle. The spiritual observer glanced at the Southern dynasty's emperor. Is this the expert who killed that giant snake? Ten Nafor said, yes, his strength is truly formidable. Tamlin and Tru Tran Nam held hands, and Tru Tran Nam said, Tru Tran Nam, good fortune will come. The spirit's expression was slightly off as she said, you're welcome. Originally, he had been observing Xiao Chennan from the moment they shook hands, but Xiao Chennan didn't have a single trace of spiritual energy on him. How is that possible? Tamlin Tim was utterly bewildered. It seems these two girls have most likely been tricked by a con artist without even knowing it. The spirit heart within had already heightened its vigilance against the Southern dynasty. After all, this was no joke. If it were an ordinary person, they would likely be directly affected and killed by the aftershocks of the cultivators' battle. But Tern Nam showed not the slightest sign of fear. It seems this young man still has some capabilities, otherwise he wouldn't be so calm. At that moment, Jingya took out a dagger with many engraved runes and directly slashed her wrist. Fresh blood dripped directly onto this patch of soil, seeping into the ground, and in the quiet forest, a few true words were silently recited. Upon contact with the fresh blood on the ground, a small sprout suddenly emerged, quickly blossoming into a flower, its pistil pointing directly towards the depths of the great mountain. The Tern dynasty's Southern dynasty immediately ran deep into the mountains, leaping over 100 meters in a single jump. The spirit was startled. One must know that even a spirit borrowing vital energy can leap 30 or 40 meters, yet this young man, who doesn't even possess vital energy, can directly jump over 100 meters high. It seems this person really does have some skill. The spirit and the Forest of 10 now were directly transported by spirit boat following Tru Tran Nam. The direction of the flower pistil continued to move forward for roughly several tens of minutes at a speed of 400 or 500 kilometers per hour when suddenly Tran Nam stopped. In front of them, deep in the jungle, stood a barren patch. All the surrounding trees were stained black. Looking closer, they could see a faint wisp of white smoke rising from the ground before them. It seems that this is the place with an 80 to 90% chance. The spirit descended from the spirit boat, took a handful of soil, and sniffed it. It seems this is the place. These smells don't belong here. They're all the scents of medicinal ingredients. Having cultivated since childhood and being an outstanding alchemist in his family, he sensed from afar that the air here had an unusual smell. It seems ginger is still the best spice ever. This is likely a poisonous cultivator. You all need to be careful. The spirit immediately became alert. Our family has suffered many losses from poisonous cultivators. These types of cultivators kill without shedding blood, and they are often cunning and calculating. Be cautious in your actions. John Khan had absolutely no idea that someone wanted to enter the palace from the outside, let alone that the idea of someone wanting to enter this palace was simply preposterous. This underground palace is incredibly sturdy. Even the American Mother-Son missiles couldn't penetrate it. They'd probably only be able to leave a small, shallow crater on the surface. Moreover, the path to the palace was fraught with obstacles, rolling stones, hidden traps, trap walls, and even a river of mercury. Unless you're facing someone extremely familiar with the route and the agency, you'll basically die right at the beginning, or even fail to make it halfway. Only with such assurance could John Khan confidently immerse himself in his own world. He remained focused on the preparation of the heart-devouring powder. He had been working on this for 7 or 8 years, and now that he was finally about to create it, how could he not be excited? But under these circumstances, suddenly a loud bang came from above his head. Boom! Following that, the entire palace began to tremble. John Khan thought to himself, That fool is just making a fuss over explosives. John Con looked at the heart-devouring powder in his hand and sneered. HMPH. Even if you are a great Luo Golden Immortal, today you will only come here, not leave. Having poured 7 or 8 years of my own efforts into this heart-devouring powder, this poison is practically incurable. Anyone poisoned by the heart-devouring powder will have all their vital energy dissipate into their surrounding environment. Moreover, the toxins will multiply on their own, eventually becoming more and more potent, killing the poisoned person in increasingly intense agony. The person who was poisoned eventually died at a time of suffering that could be described as Dao living a life worse than death. Zhang Kan had originally planned to use 5 people from outside as test subjects, but now it seems they have accomplices who have caught up. If I had known earlier, I would have killed them directly instead of provoking them. They'll definitely use bloodline techniques to chase after me, but in such a short time, there certainly won't be many of them. Zhang Kan, now holding the freshly made, still hot heart-devouring powder in his hand, finally showed no fear at all. Even though my treatment is non-invasive, I still have a killer move up my sleeve. Holding it in his arms, Zhang Kan walked out of the alchemy room, and everything that happened before his eyes left him utterly dumbfounded.